A service of KIBMradio.com, the Internet's home for an all-old-time radio.
This, I believe. Lord Elton has a distinguished career as a teacher, author, and independent politician in Britain. He was a lecturer in modern history at Oxford until 1939. Since then, he has been the secretary of the Rhodes Scholarship Trust. He plays an active part in the House of Lords, though he does not belong to any political party. Through his writing, he has established himself as a historian of the British Empire. He is now at work on a biography of Ramsay MacDonald. Here now is Lord Elton.
On the rare occasions when I personally have ventured to ask a representative modern man what he believes, I've usually found that he's had to think pretty hard before he can give any answer at all, and that then he says something like, I believe in life, or I believe in art, which, when you come to think of it, isn't so much a confession of faith as a mere description of what he hopes or what he admires. And possibly the fact that so many representative modern men do find it difficult to say what they believe may be one reason for the world's finding itself in its present plight. As for me, though I've no difficulty whatever in giving my answer, I'm afraid I'm going to disappoint you if you're expecting something strikingly original, because I can answer most briefly and simply by saying that I believe in the New Testament. Nor, in answering a question of this kind, have I the slightest desire to be original. I'm quite content, if I may put it so, to be on the same side as the specialists. If you want to know about relativity, you'll probably be content to accept the opinions of Professor Einstein, because Professor Einstein has the necessary qualifications for pronouncing convincingly on this department of knowledge. And analogously, it is a fact, confirmed and reconfirmed during the last 2,000 years, that you do not get convincing truth about the ultimate realities from nice, ordinary, worldly people such as you and me, but rather from those who've taken lifelong pains to make themselves unselfish, pure, and humble. In other words, from the saints. When being original means differing from St. Francis of Assisi or John Wesley about the nature and power of God, I have certainly no qualifications whatever for originality. And that takes me to a second foundation for what I believe. I believe because of the lives of certain men and women whom I've had the good fortune to encounter. Now, please don't misunderstand me. I'm not speaking of decent, respectable, Sunday churchgoers, of the partially committed. That is, I'm speaking of the altogether committed. Men and women who've handed their daily lives over to God. Men and women who spread love and hope and courage around them like an infection. They may be missionaries, they may be bus drivers, they may be humble housewives, and, of course, there are plenty of them just now in prison behind the Iron Curtain. But whoever or wherever they are, sooner or later, if you meet them, it'll suddenly be borne in on you that nothing in this world matters quite so much as discovering the secret of that radiant inner peace. And finally, I believe, because as a matter of cold personal experience, the gospel works, yesterday, today, and forever. The longer I study its inexhaustible wisdom, or the writings of those whose personal lives give me confidence that they're qualified to expound it, the fuller grows my assurance that here is the one key to the meaning of life and death.
That was Lord Elton, a British educator, author, and politician. However, he has perhaps made his best mark on public life as the president of the Christian Service Union.
The Anchor Hocking Glass Corporation brings you Crime Photographer.
How did you ever get that name?
I don't know. There was some argument just before my christening.
So they picked Ethelbert right out of a hat, huh?
No, my aunt was reading some novels. She found that name in it.
Well, it's a good enough name. Well, they might have given you a more famous name.
Did I hear somebody start it?
Start what?
Start to talk about famous names.
Oh. Well, what's your idea of a famous name?
That's easy, Casey. Everyone knows Anchor Hawking, the most famous name in glass. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. This is Tony Marvin. Every week at this time, the Anchor Hawking Glass Corporation of Lancaster, Ohio, and its more than 10,000 employees bring you another adventure of Casey, crime photographer, ace cameraman who covers the crime news of a great city. Our adventure for tonight, Fog. Late afternoon, the Blue Note Cafe, and Ethelbert, the head bartender, completes preparations for the crowd of cocktail sippers that will soon come drifting in.
Walter, bring up some more
Lemons!
Yeah. Oh, hello, Casey.
Hi, Ethelbert. Hi.
You just coming off a job?
Yeah.
Oh, where's Miss Williams?
At the office. She'll be here in a few minutes. Oh, this has been one of those dull, monotonous days. I'm getting pep today.
Yeah, I kind of feel that way myself. My sister Edna says I ought to take vitamins.
Hello, Ethelbert.
Oh, hello, Miss Williams.
Oh, Casey, wait till you hear what's just happened.
I know. Somebody's fed you a vitamin.
Huh?
What are you all pepped up about,
Oh, I just received an anonymous letter.
Anonymous letter, huh?
Who from? Oh, one of them without any name signed to it.
Yes.
Who from? He said. Well, what's exciting about that?
It contains a tip, a news tip, and it sounds like a big one. Here, take a look.
Well, what's it say?
Read it to him, Casey, but keep it under your hat, Ethelbert.
You know me, Miss Williams.
Typewritten on plain stationery.
Read it.
Says Dear Miss Williams, an important news story may break at the Pellhaven estate of Willis J. Baldwin tomorrow. As your society editor will know, a ball is to be held there late in the evening at which Mrs. Baldwin will wear her famous diamond necklace. If you want an exclusive front page story, arrive around 6 p.m., and say nothing to the police, the Baldwins, or anybody about this letter.
We ain't nobody.
Which the writer, who must be anonymous, urges you to destroy.
Well, isn't that something?
It's something, all right, but what?
Casey, it's a tip that somebody's going to try to steal those diamonds.
That's the way it sounds to me.
To show this to City Desk, Annie?
Yeah, right after I read it. Burks assigned us to follow it up.
Well, we covered together.
I've read about Mrs. Baldwin's diamond necklace, Casey. It's said to be worth over $1 million.
Yeah.
Casey, who do you suppose sent this letter?
Well, how should I know? What I'm wondering about, Annie, is why was it sent to you? This kind of a tip is seldom sent to a gal reporter.
I never had one just like it before.
We're to be at the Baldwin's 50-room suburban cottage at 6 tomorrow night.
How are we going to crash into their place at dinner time?
Look, I'll tell you what. I'll phone Mrs. Baldwin and give her a yarn of some kind.
Oh, you know her?
Well, I've taken pictures of her, news pictures. Have you ever met the Baldwins or anybody who's intimate with them, Annie?
Oh, I've interviewed the Count de la Fere.
Who's the Count de la Fere?
One of those ornamental slickers with a foreign title. Who gets around the high cost of living by being a perpetual house guest of the oh-so-rich and idle. I think he's staying with the Baldwins now.
Yeah, well, Willis J. Baldwin's supposed to be a tough, shrewd guy. He's not the type who puts up with lounge lizards.
Well, Count Raymond de la Fere may be Mrs. Baldwin's special friend.
Yeah. Well, look, I'll go over to the phone booth and put in a call for Mrs. Baldwin, Annie. See if I can make us a date. Thanks very much, Mrs. Baldwin. Yeah, we'll be there at 6. Goodbye.
What? Did you get her, Casey?
Yeah, everything's all set for 6.
Oh, swell. What excuse did you give her?
Well, I said we wanted to come early so I could take shots of the final preparations for the ball. Incidentally, that letter's right about one important item, Annie. She is going to wear the diamond necklace tomorrow night.
You asked
Well,
her?
just offhandedly. I said I'd like to take some special pictures if she wore it, and she said she meant to.
If the letter's right about that, it's probably right about everything else.
We'll see, pal. Annie, I still can't figure out, though, why that letter was sent to you.
can't you drive just a little faster, Casey? It's after 6, and we're
Can't
late.
help it, Annie. I can't help it. I can't see it. I try to do any speeding through this fog, we might wind up in a hospital.
Must be close to the water. Hear that foghorn?
Yeah. That's the one on McBurney's Point.
Oh. Why didn't we check the weather reports and find out we'd run into a pea soup fog, and then we could have started earlier and
Stop worrying, Annie. We're at the edge of the Baldwin estate right now.
Oh, that high wall
That's
there?
right, yeah. It completely surrounds the place. Some years ago, an attempt was made to kidnap Willis Baldwin, and a couple of guys are taking pot shots at him, so now he goes in for walls and armed guards.
Who took shots at him?
Oh, some guys he busted on the stock market. He plays rough down there, even under the SEC.
Hey, Casey, there's an armored car coming out that gate.
Yeah, that's right. I must have just delivered the diamonds.
Do we go in that gate?
Yep. After we stop and give the keeper our names.
Uh-huh.
Ah, there he is.
Uh-huh.
Good evening, sir. Good evening. I'm Casey, Morning Express. This is Miss Williams. Here's my press card. Thank you. Okay, go ahead. Thank you.
Oh, he obviously is one of the armed guards.
Oh, yeah, there's a dozen or more on the place. Not counting Big Tim Blake, Baldwin's personal bodyguard.
This doesn't seem to me like a good place to try any robberies. Wish I could see something of the grounds, but the fog's so thick and black.
Yeah, a really slick crook may have done something you wish we had done, Annie. Checked weather warnings.
You mean a
This
crook?
fog would be a great help in getting away.
Oh, yeah.
Now, here's the house.
Oh, well, it's a regular castle.
Yeah.
Oh, there's another guard.
Good evening.
Good evening, Miss Williams and Mr. Casey.
Yes, sir. I just got word from the gateman. May I take care of your car,
Yeah,
sir?
thanks. Come on, Annie.
Mm-hmm.
The butler will announce you. He's coming now.
Yeah, I see.
Hey, Casey, I know that butler.
Yeah?
Yeah, I'm sure I do, but I can't remember where I...
Here he is.
You're the people from the Morning Express.
Yeah.
Follow me, please.
His voice is familiar, too, Casey, and he gave me a funny look. Did you know?
Fleming? Is that Mr. Casey?
Yes, Mrs. Baldwin.
Well, I'm very glad to see you.
Mighty nice of you to let us barge in on you this early, Mrs. Baldwin.
Not at all. This, of course, is Miss Williams, the reporter you said you'd bring with you.
Yes.
How do you do, Mrs. Baldwin?
Nice to know you, my dear. Come into the library. We have something there that will interest both of you. Close the door, Fleming, and keep out that awful fog.
Yes, Mrs. Baldwin.
He's a new butler. Not very experienced. I have to remind him of everything.
Well, I've seen him somewhere.
What are we to see in your library, Mrs. Baldwin?
The necklace you want to photograph. It was brought here from the bank only a few minutes ago. My husband and a guest are standing guard over it.
It is altogether magnificent, Mr. Baldwin.
It should be, for what I paid for it, Count. Oh, Helen.
Miss Williams, may I present my husband?
How do you do, Miss Williams?
Mr. Baldwin.
And Le Comte de la Fère?
I believe this little newspaper lady and I have met before.
It's nice of you to remember me, Count de la Fère.
And this is Mr. Casey.
Oh, yeah, Casey.
Privileged to know you, monsieur.
Mr. Baldwin, Count?
My wife tells me you want to take some pictures of her necklace, Casey. It's over there on the table. I was just showing it to De La Fère. In case you'd like to stick it in your pocket, Big Tim there won't let you.
Oh, Willis.
Oh, the man knows I'm only kidding, Helen?
Sure, Mr. Baldwin. How are you, Tim?
Hello, Casey.
Oh, you two know each other?
Oh, yeah. Since long before Tim went into the bodyguard business.
Back in the days when I was a cop, boss.
You give Casey an okay, Tim?
He's okay.
Oh, then we let him get real close to the necklace, huh? Guess you'll want a good look at it, too, Miss Williams. Women usually do.
Oh, simply... Oh, I have never seen anything so gorgeous, Mrs. Baldwin.
It is nice, isn't it?
Mr. Baldwin tells me, and this necklace is the greatest number of perfectly matched first water diamonds set in any single example of the jeweler's art, Miss Williams.
Oh,
And it is worth. The amount is staggering.
Any man could live high, wide, and handsome for a lifetime on what this necklace is worth, De La Fère.
So I imagine.
But he'd have to steal it or steal my wife, whom I gave it to, and neither of those things can be done while I'm around.
I'm sure it would be quite impossible.
Quite impossible.
Would you like to take your pictures now, Mr. Casey?
Yes, Mrs. Baldwin, thank you. I'm surprised there aren't detectives from your insurance company here to watch this necklace. They're usually around.
These diamonds are not insured.
What? Not insured?
Except for a few days each year, they're kept in the bank vault. And when Mrs. Baldwin wears them, as she will tonight, my own employees, like Tim here, keep them well protected.
I never take my eyes off him, boss.
I'll shoot a picture of him lying here on the table.
No, go ahead. Where's that dumb new butler, Helen? 15 minutes ago, I told him to bring in cocktails.
Well,
Is all right?
Oh, well, here he comes now, Willis.
Why did you take so long, Fleming?
I'm sorry, sir. Some matters came up.
All right, you're here at last. Bring that liquor wagon over here.
There's one picture.
Serve the cocktails, Fleming.
Yes, Mrs. Baldwin.
No, I don't like to drink in half darkness. Why have you got all the shades drawn, Helen?
Well, you know I always draw them when there's fog, Willis. It's so dreary to look outside.
Well, then let's have something besides just a few table lamps on in here. Turn on the main lights, Fleming.
Yes, Mr. Baldwin.
I'd like to see the people I'm talking to.
What's that? What have you done to the lights?
I told you to turn more on, Fleming, not to switch them all off.
I haven't touched the switch, sir. I hadn't reached it. Now it's so dark.
Now get some lights on in here. Tim.
Yeah? I found the switch, Willis. There.
Well, now that we can see again. What?
Mr. Baldwin, the diamonds!
They are gone.
Tim!
I was standing right here beside him, boss, but I couldn't see him.
I know who took them.
Miss Williams.
Now I know who that butler is, Casey. He's the notorious jewel thief, Chris Masters.
You're not going to rap me for this.
Stop that fellow,
He's jumped through the window.
I'll get him.
Shoot! He's running away, disappearing in the fog.
He's out of sight. I can't see him anymore. I'm going after him.
I'm coming with you, Tim. That man has the diamonds. Helen, give orders to close the gates and guard the wall.
I'll take care of it, Willis. Come with me, Raymond.
I'm with you, Mrs. Baldwin.
Well, everybody's gone and left us, eh?
Oh, come on, Casey. Let's get in on the chase.
Oh, well, no hurry.
No, hurry.
No.
A man's out there with $1 million worth of stolen diamonds, and you
The guy you accused didn't get those diamonds.
I tell you, I recognized him as Chris Masters. He switched off those lights.
Nobody switched off any lights. Look at the cord on this table lamp here.
Oh, it's been cut in two.
Yeah. Interesting, isn't it? Now I know why you got that anonymous letter, Annie.
What?
The fog seems to be lifting a little. Oh, well, let's go outside and join the manhunt. Huh?
Casey, will you tell me what you mean
When we
by...
get outside, Annie, in the fog. The fog that's lifting.
You know, you hear a lot about modern industrial design with its twin ideals of beauty and usefulness. But nowhere is this better exemplified than in the creation of a new kind of dinnerware called jadeite. And it's spelled Jadeite. Jadeite is really beautiful. It has the color of fine jade and the texture of rare porcelain. But jadeite is also unbelievably strong. It resists chipping and cracking and is so heat-proof you can safely put it in a hot oven. And with all these advantages, jadeite actually costs less than the most ordinary uninspired dinnerware. For instance, a big jadeite platter costs only 25 cents in open stock, and a 35-piece dinner service for 6 people is priced at less than $5. Ask for jadeite at your favorite chain store, department store, hardware store, or at other stores selling chinaware and glass. A set of jadeite makes an attractive gift, and it's an easy way to replenish your own supply of dinnerware. Jadeite is the newest triumph of anchor hocking. The most famous name in glass.
State covers a lot of territory, Annie. I think Chris Masters will be fairly hard to find.
Casey, I want to know why you think he didn't take those diamonds.
Okay, Annie. Well, it's because he had no chance to take them. The person who sent you that anonymous letter saw to that.
The person
Yeah,
who
that
sent-
letter bothered me. It just wasn't right. When we got here, I recognized Masters under his butler suit and his dyed hair and phony English accent a few minutes after I saw him.
You did?
Sure I did. Yes, and I was sure he recognized me and you. He wouldn't take a chance on lifting those diamonds with us in the house, Annie.
Go on.
Someone who was in that library a few minutes ago knew before tonight that Fleming, the butler, was really Masters, the jewel thief. And they figured correctly, I imagine, that he was planning to steal a Baldwin necklace. Well, that someone decided to get it first, to let Masters take the blame. But this someone didn't want to be the person who pointed the finger at Masters, because that wouldn't look so good. So you were brought out here to make the accusation.
The article I wrote on Masters after my interview with him several years ago was featured under my byline.
That's right. By Ann Williams.
And that meant that I'd be sure to recognize Masters. Wait a minute. He says Nobody switched off those lights?
Yeah, that's right. The fuse was blown.
The fuse was blown?
Yeah. The cord on that table lamp, Annie, had been cut with a scissors and knife, causing a short circuit. When the lights went out, Masters was the one person in the room who I'm sure wasn't near the cord, because he's the one person I was watching. It's that cut lamp cord that makes me certain somebody besides Masters was after the diamonds.
Well, if the lights were short-circuited, how could Mrs. Baldwin turn them on?
Well, she switched on the main lights, Annie, the wall and the ceiling brackets. They're on a different circuit, apparently.
Oh, well, why did Chris Masters do a run-out the moment I told who he was? That seems to prove
Well, it only proves that whoever sent you that letter did another smart piece of figuring. Annie, didn't you mention in your story on Masters that as a jewel thief he lost his head, kind of, when things got hot, and he always did a run-out?
Mm-hmm. And if I hadn't accused Masters and he hadn't run, Mr. Baldwin would have called the police, and everyone in the room would have been searched.
Uh-huh. Now the thief has had a chance to get the diamonds off his person and into some hiding place somewhere.
But then the someone who planned all this is either...
Count de la Fur, or whatever his name is, Big Tim Blake, or Mr. or Mrs. Baldwin.
Well, the Baldwins wouldn't steal their own diamonds.
Oh, wait a minute, Annie. People have been known to stage phony thefts of their own property.
Well, sure, to collect insurance, but Mr. Baldwin said the necklace wasn't insured.
Yeah, that's right.
What do you think about Count de la Fere?
Well, $1 million worth of sparklers might be very attractive to a guy like him.
Baldwin seemed a little jealous of
Yeah, I
him.
caught that.
And you know the bodyguard, Tim Blake, sir.
Well, I don't know Tim Blake well enough to eliminate him as a suspect.
He said he'd been a cop. Why did he leave the force?
For the good of the service, the commissioner figured Tim was too willing to use a gun. He shot up a couple of guys that maybe shouldn't have been shot up.
Well, there'd be no way of finding out who really got the diamonds if he or she hasn't already hidden them.
Oh, he or she hasn't hidden them, Annie.
Well, a minute ago, you said...
I said the thief has had the chance, but he didn't take it.
What?
You see, the person who got those diamonds, Annie, wasn't the person who planned on getting them.
Oh, what are you talking about?
Annie, when the would-be thief reached for that necklace in the dark, he or she got a great big surprise. It wasn't there.
It wasn't there? Well, how do you know?
Because I'd reached first.
You?
Yeah. Meet Raffles Casey, the $1 million bandit.
Oh, what have you done with the necklace?
It's in my pocket.
In your pocket?
Sure.
Oh, Casey.
And everybody but you and me, including the would-be thief, is sure that it's in Chris Masters' pocket.
Oh.
Annie, it won't surprise me if the smart would-be thief does something very foolish very soon. Fog's almost gone, Annie. See pretty well now.
Yeah. Casey, all our suspects seem to be looking for Masters individually. During the past 15 minutes, we've seen the Count, Big Tim, and Baldwin, each of them alone.
We haven't seen Mrs. Baldwin. That means she's alone, too.
Oh, Casey, you're taking an awful chance with those diamonds in your pocket. If they were found on you, no one would believe
Yeah,
that
they'd
you
think
didn't...
the worst, all right, wouldn't they, huh? But, Annie, this is the first time I've ever had $1 million worth of anything in my pocket. That kind of makes me feel... No. It's funny. I don't feel any different than when I was honest and...
Hey, Casey.
Conscious.
Yeah, over there.
Come on, Annie.
Okay.
Boss, I think I got him.
That's Big Tim's voice.
Yeah, I did get him, boss. Come here.
There he is, beside those trees right there.
You got Masters, Tim?
Yeah, the thief. Oh, it's you, Casey. Hey, boss, where's Mr. Baldwin?
I'm coming, Tim. You guys stick to your post. Don't block over here.
Masters is lying behind those evergreens.
Now, let's have a look.
Hey, you shot Masters, Tim?
Yes, Mr. Baldwin. I heard a movement amongst those trees, and then I saw a moving figure. It kept on moving after I told it to stop, so I blazed away.
Hey, you're shooting. What has happened?
Tim here just shot our thief, Count.
That butler, Fleming.
Did you search this guy before you started shooting, Tim?
What chance would I have to search him, Casey? I just
someone
told
has searched him. Take a look at your ex-butler, Mr. Baldwin.
Yeah, I see.
His clothes are all torn.
Yeah, all his pockets that aren't torn inside out are ripped open.
Well, I didn't search him.
You didn't shoot him either, Tim.
I didn't shoot him.
No. I can't find any bullet holes in him.
I see none.
This guy was strangled to death.
Who did it?
Maybe the moving figure you saw was the someone who did it, Tim. You fired at it from a distance and then found this fellow lying here and concluded your bullets had shot him.
Yeah, that must have been what happened.
Who did kill that man?
Count de la Fere, I have a kind of a half idea.
You have, Casey?
Yes, Mr. Baldwin.
I have more than a half idea. I just found something near Master's body that...
What'd you find, boss?
Let us see.
I found something that tells me the strangler was you, Count.
Let me go.
Uncle Affair?
You're crazy, Mr. Baldwin. Help me, let me go.
Oh, break it up, Baldwin. You got him down. Now break it up.
All right. But don't let that fella get away, Tim.
I won't, boss.
Here's what I found beside Master's hand, Casey. This black coat button. Then I saw there was a button missing from De La Fere's dinner jacket. Look, this button I found matches the others on his coat.
You lie. That button you pulled from my coat now when you take me.
The jury won't see it that way when you're tried for Master's murder.
This man is mad.
Take it easy, Count. Take it easy. Why should De La Fere be tried for murder, Mr. Baldwin?
Because he killed Masters.
This dead guy was a fugitive suspected of stealing your wife's necklace. If Tim had shot him, as we thought at first, you wouldn't have called Tim a murderer.
If I had choked that thief, I would be a fool to deny it, and I'm not a fool. But I was never near the man.
You deny it because of the search you made of Master's clothes. You wanted the diamonds he stole.
Search me, somebody. I have no diamonds.
You've had time to hide them someplace. Take him to the police. Tim.
Wait a minute.
You're butting into this too much,
I don't
Casey.
think so, Mr. Baldwin. On the evidence of that button, you're formally accusing Count de la Fere
of killing this thief, Chris Masters, in order to hijack the stolen diamonds.
Oh, now it's Chris Masters, huh? Huh? When Miss Williams recognized your phony butler tonight, she mentioned his real name only once and very rapidly. You knew who your butler really was before tonight.
That's crazy. You can't prove that.
Maybe I can. Tim was a good shot. When he fired at the moving figure, he didn't miss completely. He put a hole through your coat sleeve.
Hole?
Yeah.
Look here.
Right
That's
here.
me, go. Tim.
And now, Casey, hold everything, Tim. Take a look at this.
Yeah, it looks like a bullet hole.
It is a bullet hole. This man tried to accuse me of what he himself has done.
You murdered Chris Masters to hijack property of your wife's that you'd meant to steal.
I'll try to prove that. You just try. Let me go.
Okay. Baldwin, you've attempted a theft tonight. You've killed a man. You've tried to frame the counts. When a guy like that can't be brought to book in one way, sometimes he can in another. Tim, at the next cop, wouldn't you say your boss was guilty if you found the stolen necklace on him?
Yeah.
It's your duty to see if he has it, Tim. All right, I'll hold him again.
I haven't those diamonds, you fool. Take them off my mouth.
Look for his pockets, Tim. He's giving me quite a battle here. He's afraid to have you search it.
This will cost me my job, Casey.
It's your duty.
Okay, I'll do it, but... Casey.
The diamond necklace.
There you are. You did find it on him, Tim.
Oh, Casey.
This is a frame-up. A frame-up.
Tell that to the cops, Baldwin. You and the count take care of him, Tim.
Come on, Baldwin. I'm working for the law again.
I will help you take good care of him, Tim, after what he tried to do to me.
It's a frame-up. It's a frame-up.
Well, Annie, let's go along. I'm going to get some pictures now.
Casey, you slipped that necklace in his pocket while you were struggling with him.
Yes, Annie. Just like he pulled a button off of De La Fere's coat. You know, Annie, when you can't trap a crook in any other way, one good frame deserves another.
We'll join the crowd at the Blue Note in just a moment. Would you please give me your attention for 1 minute? I have a message of importance for the millions of people in the United States who are listening to this program. Listen closely, please. You can now buy your favorite brand of beer and ale in the new one-way, no-deposit bottle. Now, let me repeat that. You can now buy your favorite brand of beer and ale in a new kind of glass bottle that requires no deposit and that never has to be returned to the store. This new bottle is light in weight and very compact. It's easy to carry home and takes up less room in your refrigerator. You pay no deposit on the new Anchor glass bottle, and you do not have to return it. Remember, it's glass, clean and sanitary glass. For more than 100 years, Americans have preferred beer and ale in glass bottles. So I suggest that when you buy beer or ale, you demand it in the new Anchor glass one-way, no-deposit bottles. Product of Anchor Hocking. The most famous name in glass.
Well, Baldwin confessed after the cops went to work on him, huh, Casey?
Yeah, good thing, too, Ethelbert. Actually, I couldn't have stuck to my frame up in court.
Baldwin needed money to pull himself out of a deep hole he got into in the stock market. That big estate, in fact, everything he had was mortgaged to the rafters. Only his wife's necklace was free and clear. He preferred to steal it rather than ask her for it.
Yeah, because he was pretty sure she wouldn't have given it to him.
Why did he try to frame that Count, whatever his name is?
Well, first to cover himself, of course, and then second because he thought his wife was in love with the guy.
Baldwin had a big nerve to be jealous after some of the things he'd been doing.
What things?
Mostly blondes.
Yeah? Blondes?
Oh. The cops have been digging into his private life.
And found blondes, huh? Wow. Tell me more.
Well, there was a little chick named Doris.
Oh, darn, there's the bar phone. I'll be right back.
Uno
Cafe, Ethelbert speaking.
Wow.
Huh? You'll have to speak louder. I can't understand you. Huh? What?
Casey?
What's his name?
The fog is entirely gone.
Are you in the same room?
When we came in here, I noticed the stars were up.
Yeah, I noticed that too,
Louder,
Annie.
please.
Spring's kind of in the air, too.
Mm-hmm. You know, it's a nice night to be outside.
Yeah, it is. It's a swell night to be outside.
Oh, no. I can't.
Well, what are we doing here?
We'd be crazy if we stayed here, Annie.
Oh, no.
Come on, Annie, let's go.
We're going, Casey.
Oh, mister, you got the wrong number. Tell me about them blondes. Walter, where did Casey and Miss Williams go? Out. Out? Out. Oh, well, of all the... Walter, bring up some more lemons.
Crime Photographer, starring Stotts Cotsworth as Casey, is written by Alonzo Dean Cole. It is brought to you each Thursday by the Anchor Hocking Glass Corporation, makers of Fire King Oven Glass, Anchor Glass Containers, Anchor Caps and Closures. All products of Anchor Hocking, the most famous name in glass. Crime Photographer is directed by John Dietz and is based on the fictional character of Flash Gun Casey, created by George Harmon Cox. Original music is by Archie Blyer, and the program features Miss Jan Miner as Anne and John Gibson as Ethelbert. Herman Chittison is the Blue Note pianist. The Girl Scouts are celebrating their 36th birthday this week. Your time and interest is the best birthday present they could get. If you can spare just a few hours a week, offer your services by calling your local Girl Scout office. This is Tony Marvin saying goodnight for the Anchor Hocking Glass Corporation of Lancaster, Ohio, with offices in all principal cities of the United States and Canada. This is PBS, the Columbia Broadcasting System.
This, I believe. Lord Kemsley is one of Britain's leading newspaper magnates. The son of a local magistrate in Wales, he built from nothing a great newspaper chain, which includes a national daily, 3 national Sunday papers, 6 Scottish, 4 Welsh, and 22 local papers. This empire confers great power and responsibility on Lord Kemsley. This is his creed.
More than 50 years ago, I left Merthyr Tydfil, my hometown in Wales, for London. Looking back on a long and varied career, I ask myself, what has been the greatest single influence in my life? I am in no doubt it has been a happy family life. And it is because I believe so strongly in the importance of the family that I want to speak to you about it now. No boy can ever be more fortunate than I was in his parents. They placed a deep imprint of their personalities on all their children, and in truth, their spirits are with me still, the unseen judges of my every action. I like to feel that were my parents alive today, they would see in the close attachments and deep loyalties in my own family a not unworthy replica of their own happy life. In my youth, we were taught simple virtues. In those days, there were no cinemas to go to, no wireless, no television. To a large extent, we made our own entertainment, and on Sundays, there were 3 church services to attend, including Sunday school. There, and within the family circle, we were taught the real nature of respect. We learnt also to be self-reliant. It never occurred to us to lean on others. If help were needed, it would come from the family. We were taught to use our talents and to dedicate them to the common good. Since then, there has been a very vast development in the public services. Parents today can call to their aid resources which parents of my generation never knew in the task of bringing up their children. Wider educational facilities, clinics, welfare amenities, and the like. These ought to be gains, but for my part, and I hope you do not think me old-fashioned, I should count these gains but loss, if their inevitable consequence were to be the breakdown in any degree of that family life. It is in the family that we learn, or should learn, to respect authority and loyally accept the rules, the reasons for which we do not entirely understand. It is in the family that we learn our first lessons in cooperation for the general good. It is in the family that we learn, or should learn, those lessons of self-forgetfulness and consideration for others which lie at the root of all Christian morality. And these are all virtues essential for the good citizen. The subject is one of vital importance, transcending all difference of class, creed, or political allegiance. A national life built on self-interest may prosper for a time, as many examples of history show, but they also show that when the storms of adversity beat upon it, it collapses like that house in Scripture which was built upon sand. Our future, as freedom-loving peoples, will be secure only if we take care to preserve these simple family virtues of which I have spoken.
Those are the beliefs of Viscount Kemsley, one of Britain's most powerful newspaper publishers.
Now, Crime Does Not Pay, starring Diana Barrymore as Judy Fraser in Carnival Frail. It was called Joe and Judy's Ball and Bucket. It was the old bucket game. You came through the milling crowd on the shabby, scrawny Midway. You stood at a scarred counter and you threw rubber balls at a bucket. If 3 of your 5 chances stayed in the bucket, you won a prize. Some incredibly cheap ornament or a slyly disreputable doll. That was all, as far as you could see. Well, it was fun, particularly if you won while your friends lost. This, of course, was up to Judy, who decorated the tawdry booth with a pretty, if hard, face and a fulsome and well-displayed figure. You see, Joe did the barking and Judy pulled the string. The string attached the plunger under the bucket. When the string was pulled, the plunger took the life out of the bottom of the bucket, and the ball stayed in. So simple, so convenient for Joe and Judy. That was the setup and the operation the night this history begins.
Yes, sir, here it is, folks. Chance of a lifetime. Win a big prize. Step right up. Pitch the old baseball right into the bucket. 3 hits out of 5, you win the prize. 3 hits stay in the bucket to get the Cupid doll. That's the deal. 3 out of 5 and 5 for 15 cents, that is. Take a chance, folks. Come on. What's taking you so long, fella? Come on, peg it.
Okay, here we go.
Hey, too much on the ball, son. That way they bounce right out again.
Yeah, looks that way, mister. How's this?
Uh-oh, a miss. Well, some shortstop you'd make.
Hey, you sure that bucket ain't got no rubber bottom?
You kidding, son? Come on, peg that baseball.
The string, Judy.
Check.
Good girl, Judy.
2 more tries, fella.
Here we go. There it is. Start picking a prize, honey. Let the string go, Judy.
Ain't you the first time? No winners tonight.
Once more. Oh, shucks.
Well, try again, fella. Try the 5 for the prize, only 15 cents.
No, I've had enough. Nobody takes me more than once.
Like to watch me try it, young man?
You? Mr. Sanford?
Well, why not? I relax, too, even though I do live on the hill.
But the old boy's good. Are you good, mister?
Good enough to put 3 baseballs in that bucket, little lady.
And keep 'em there, mister?
I think so.
Double or nothing, Mr. Sanford?
Well, explain that, young man.
You keep 3 in, you get the 5 free and 5 more. You miss, you pay me 30 cents.
A big bet. Well, I'll take it. Let me have the first 5.
Here you are, sir.
Hey, this I gotta see. Martin Sanford at the Carnival.
No distractions now.
Then I'd better get out of here.
Oh, not at all, young lady. You'll be my inspiration. Here I go.
Hey, for the love of Mike. That's terrific, Mr. Sanford.
Yeah, ain't it? Here's your next 5. Nobody can say Joe King Welch's.
Very well. Watch me. Now.
Okay. 2 prizes for the man from the hill. What'll they be?
Well, I wonder now. Oh, yes. That big box of candy and the cute little doll.
Here you are.
Oh, you did fine, Mr. Sanford. Very good. Better than anybody. You're all right.
And so are you. Miss Judy, isn't it?
That's right. Miss Judy.
More of the prizes are for you. And don't let this fellow make you put them back on the shelf.
Thank you, Mr. Sanford. Thank you so much.
Not at all. What would I do with a candy and a doll?
Well, how do you like that? The richest guy in town. Wow.
Oh, pardon me, miss. Oh, why? How do you do, Miss Judy?
Why, it's Mr. Sanford.
Yes, it is. So nice to bump into you like this.
Yes, you did bump into me, didn't you? Mr. Martin Sanford.
I see you've heard the sign on the door. Yes, that's the Sanford Bank, my bank, and my real estate company up there, 2nd floor.
Mr. Sanford, it just struck me. The name of this town is Sanfordville.
That's right.
Then your family founded it. You're the leading citizen.
You make it sound like something exciting.
Oh, but it is exciting and wonderful. And here you stand on Main Street talking to an ordinary carnival girl. What will Mrs. Sanford say?
Why shouldn't I stand here, Miss Judy? And there is no Mrs. Sanford.
Oh? Well, I hope you come up and see us at the grounds when you have time.
Well, now, don't you think it's a trifle noisy out of the carnival, Miss Judy?
Perhaps it is.
Then would you do me the honor of having dinner with me some evening? That is, if it doesn't interfere with your schedule of work.
It won't interfere. You tell me when.
I would, but I'm sure a young lady like you will have, younger men to spend her free time with.
Oh, you underrate yourself, Mr. Sanford.
Then this evening, perhaps.
What? I think that'd be very nice. You know, Mr. Sanford, I haven't a thing to do with myself today. From this minute on.
Your friend Joe works hard, doesn't he, my dear?
Oh, we all work hard in the carnival. All carnies do.
All what?
Oh, carnies, that's what. People in the show.
Oh, I see. Live and learn.
That reminds me. You want to see how you won the other night?
Yeah, I won by putting the ball in the bucket.
Ah, did you? Come here. Look through the flap of the tent. Here. See the string Joe's got wrapped around his ankle behind the counter there?
Yes, whatever for?
Oh, I usually hold it. See how it disappears under the table holding the bucket?
Yes.
That string is attached to a plunger. When it's full, the plunger makes the bottom of the bucket hard. The balls stay in the bucket. When the string is loose, the bottom of the bucket, well, it's sort of like a rubber pad. The balls bounce out. The harder you throw, the harder they bounce out.
But that's not honest.
That's the suckers, Martin. The world is full of them.
I don't like this, Judy. Not any of it.
Not any of it? Not even me.
I don't like it for you. Judy, I want to take you out of this, my dear. You're too lovely to spend your life in this atmosphere. I want to give you lovely things. Real jewels to wear.
Mr. Stanford, if you're saying what I think you're saying,
I'm asking you to marry me, Judy. I'm a lot older than you, I know, but I'm wiser, too. I'll give you security. Love. And if you don't love me, well, perhaps you'll learn to.
Oh, Martin, can you forgive me for thinking the other thing?
I'll forgive you everything, Judy, dear. Everything and anything, if you'll just say yes.
Oh, Martin, you're corny. You really are, but the answer, what else could the answer be but yes?
Where you been, Judy? You know you're still to come on. Get to work, huh?
I'm tired, Joe. Tired of the noise, the racket, the suckers, the pulling up and traveling and setting up in some other jerk town a day later.
Save it, kid, save it. You're a carny and you always will be.
I'm trying to tell you, Joe. We're through. I'm quitting.
Go on. You ain't struck no gold mine.
Yeah, maybe I have. Maybe I've struck it rich.
What do you mean you struck it rich? How'd you get rich, Judy?
Yeah, how would I get rich? Look at me, Joey. Look at me. All over.
I don't see nothing I ain't seen before.
Yeah, but suppose you hadn't seen it before. And suppose you weren't so young anymore. And you wanted what you saw. What would you give for it, Joey? A certificate of marriage, maybe?
You're gonna marry that old geezer? Judy, you're nuts. You'll never make it stick. Why, he's old enough to be your grandfather.
Yeah, I'm gonna marry the old geezer. He asked me, which is more than you ever did.
Don't kid me, Judy. No Carnival frail wants that piece of paper. Except it's got a gold back.
This one has. And get this, Joey. I'm quitting your old bucket game. I'm going to live in a house on the hill, see? This frail is making good. And nothing you can do will... Joey, I'm not forgetting. Leave it to Judy. Before you know it, I'll be able to take care of you, too.
Oh, it's you, my dear, going out.
Oh, yes, darling, I'm going out shopping. You were in your study.
Well, run along, sweetheart. Enjoy yourself.
Thank you. Husband mine.
You like that word, don't you? Husband, I mean.
Who wouldn't with you, Martin? See you later, dear.
Take care of yourself, dear. Don't drive too fast.
Hiya, Judy, baby.
Joe. Joe, quick. The garage. You might see you.
Okay. I'm coming. Quite the layout. Nice car. The works.
What's wrong, Joe?
I need dough. Give.
I don't have any. Everything's charge account.
Well, then sell some of the stuff. I want dough. I want it today.
How many times do I have to tell you I don't have any?
Well, then get it. Why do you suppose the old geezer would like to know what he meant?
You wouldn't dare.
Wouldn't I? It's a great story. A carny dame, a frail who was a knife thrower, a sharp kid who worked every sideshow in the Midway, including the hoolas, and some we don't mention in polite company.
I tell you, it's too soon. You'll kill the goose, Joey. You can't do that. You know I'm square with you, Joey. You know...
What do I do in the meantime? Panhandle nickels?
Joe, will you work with me? Not against me. Will you take a ride on this thing with me?
How? Keep talking.
I can get you a job as his valet. The man just quit. I'll talk Martin into taking you on. Then we'll both be in on this. And it's off, Joey. It's off.
In just a moment, Crime Does Not Pay will continue with Carnival Frail. Now we continue with Crime Does Not Pay, starring Diana Barrymore as Judy Fraser in Carnival Frail. Judy managed to talk Martin Sanford into taking Joe as his valet. It took some doing, but the old man couldn't deny her anything like that. And so for 6 months, there was peace in the house. Joe did his work, stayed away from Judy in public, and all was well on the surface. But the day came when Judy found charge accounts too limiting. There were questions concerning occasional things she bought, items which seemed to disappear rather soon after they were purchased. There were little impatiences, too. Martin Sanford was not a stupid man. However, it was Judy herself who broke the quiet first.
Martin, why don't you let me have an allowance?
You don't want for anything, do you, dear?
Oh, Martin, must you play with your toys, even when I want to talk seriously?
My collection of weapons is the finest in the state. They're not toys. Far from it. This knife...
Ah, yes, I know all about that. Can I have an allowance, Martin?
May I?
All right, may I?
No.
I'm your wife, Martin. I'm entitled to a reason.
You don't need cash.
I can't go around without a penny in my purse. It's shameful. I have to charge ice cream sodas even.
Then don't drink them.
You treat me like a child. You're making me hate you. Like everybody who owes you or the bank anything hates you all over town.
What do you know about that?
I hear talk. I see people give me looks. I know. Now you're treating me like you treat them. Before we were married, it was different.
It all was different before. You learned to accept your position, Judith. You're my wife. To the outside world, you have position, wealth. And you will live up to them. Here, you're going to do as I say.
You spend more on your guns and knives than you do on me.
It's my money, and one word from you, Judith, and I'll change my will. You understand? Now, think that over, young lady. I'm going upstairs for a nap.
I hate him. I hate him. I can't stand him.
Easy, baby, easy. Oh, that's no way. You killed a goose, you know.
Leave me alone.
Not if I can help it. You got a temper, sweetheart.
Stop it, Joe. If anyone hears you...
That's better. Play the game. We're doing okay in a lot of ways.
Okay, I said.
When the time comes, I'll tip you off, and then we split the works. We go okay. Hey, what you doing? Playing with knives, baby?
He left it there when he slammed out of here.
Like to do this with it, baby?
Joe, don't.
Yeah, I know. You don't like to handle a knife by the handle. You like to toss him by the point.
Put it away, Joe.
Just what I'm doing, you see? There we are. Yeah, right in a glass case. Like where the old geezer would like to keep you so he can show you off to his friends.
Stop it, Joe.
Quite a light for a young gal under glass. Ain't you glad I'm around, baby?
I said stop it, Joe. That kind of talk won't get you anyplace.
I like to see you boil, baby. You're real beautiful when you're sore.
Take it easy, kid. Won't be long now.
They're both mean, nasty. The old man in an old man's way. Joey in a different way. Joey, maybe because he's spending his share before he gets it. His share? Why should he share? What did he do to get me into this house? I married the old man. I talked him into hiring Joe. It's been me. Me. Judy Fraser all the way. Funny. I never think of myself as Judy Sanford. Only Judy Fraser. And I'll be Judy Fraser. Why not? Why not? Both of them. Both of them at the same time. Why not? Hello. Hello, operator. I think there's something wrong with my telephone. No, not the line. Just the bell. Would you ring me back, please? Thank you very much. I'm coming downstairs, Martin.
Never mind. I'll answer it. You can stay up there. Hello? What's that?
That's the last phone you'll answer. I haven't forgotten how to throw him. Right in the back.
Sorry to bother you, Mrs. Sanford, but I thought I'd better tell you first.
Who are you?
Detective Bush, ma'am. Captain McCardle sent me over to make an arrest.
Make an arrest?
Yes, ma'am. The fingerprints were on the handle. Clear as a bell. Funny, he didn't think to wear gloves.
Prints? Whose fingerprints?
The valet's, ma'am. Mr. King's. I have a warrant here for Joe King. First-degree murder.
Done your job, Bush?
Yes, Captain. King's in the tank. Put up quite a squawk, but he's calmed down now. It's funny, though.
Oh? Do you think there's something funny, too?
Yes, sir. What with all the folks around this town who had good reason to hate old Sanford's guts, fellas he foreclosed, folks he took homes away from, what all not. Funny, he's finally knocked off by an ex-carny who's working in his house.
I see. That's what you think's funny. Me, I don't like the prints.
They're clean? Just the way he grabbed the knife and rammed it in?
I know, just the way he grabbed the knife, but it doesn't necessarily mean he rammed it in. In fact, Bush, those prints are so clean, I'm pretty sure King didn't stab anybody with it. If he had, the prints would be blurred. Oh, it just could be, you know, that knife was held by the point and thrown. Oh, Mrs. Sanford. Thank you so much for coming down here.
You're very welcome, Captain McCardle, isn't it?
That's right. Won't you sit down?
Thank you.
Sorry to bother you this way, but there were a few items, papers and all, so the estate can be released to you. That's police routine, and it's so much easier to handle here.
Oh, don't apologize, Captain. You're a busy man, and I have nothing but time.
Wonder what can be holding up that clerk. Will you excuse me a moment? Just make yourself comfortable. You smoke if you want to.
Thank you again, Captain. So simple, so easy. The hand is quicker than the eye.
All right, get in here, you. Captain wants to talk.
All right, okay. You don't have to shout, copper.
Joe.
Well, hey, Rube. Well, look who's here. The rich girl who lives on the hill.
Joe, why did you do it, Joey? Why?
Why did I do it? Why, you no good Connie Frail. I know, I can't prove nothing. But I'll bet 100 to 1 that knife was thrown
from the landing of the stairs. I ought to beat it out of you.
Joey, listen, I'll get you a lawyer. The best in the country. I'll save your neck, Joey. And after you get out...
You will, baby? You'll do that for me? You will?
I promise, Joey. After our days together. Sure, I'll do it for you.
Oh, baby, in that knife-throwing racket, too. Oh, you were great. That's what I went for you. Yeah, standing out there in that shiny costume, which wasn't much of nothing, tossing them knives. I seen all your other acts, baby. But the one with the knives? No, sensational.
Yeah, I didn't forget how, Joey.
You bet you didn't. And with all those other knives, you threw the one with my prints on it.
This gets you nothing, Joey.
Don't it? Now I know you did it. I'm telling McCardle and Bush. I'm not burning for no frail.
No, Joey, no. No, you can't. You mustn't.
You suck your rotten trap.
Hold him, Bush.
Wait a minute. Oh, leave me alone.
All right, Mrs. Sanford, that does it, I guess.
What do you mean? I'll have you
Sorry,
know...
it won't work, Judy Fraser Sanford. We checked King's background. We found you in it. We checked you. After what we heard just now, you're through, lady. No matter how much they hated old man Sanford, no jury panel in this county will let you get away with murder.
Crime does not pay. Diana Barrymore, who was starred as Judy Fraser in Carnival Frail, will be back with you in just a moment. Now here in person is Diana Barrymore.
I think, in all fairness, it should be made perfectly clear that Judy Fraser is not typical of the people of the carnival. They, too, are show people, and like the vast majority of all people in all walks of life, they're honest, decent, hard-working citizens. But, as in all walks of life, warped, cruel, selfish personalities appear at times in show business. Judy Fraser happened to be a woman like that. A woman whose greed got the better of her brains. She was too smart, too clever. She lost sight, as most criminals do, of the most important fact of all, that for rich, for poor, for great or for small, crime does not pay.
Thank you, Miss Barrymore. Crime Does Not Pay is written by Ira Marion and directed by Mark D. Loeb, with music composed and conducted by John Garth. Technical advisor is Burton D. Turkis. The events, characters, and names used in the story you have just heard are fictitious. Any similarity is purely coincidental. This is Bob Williams speaking.
This I believe. Lord Listowel is a British statesman. He was Under Secretary of State for India and Burma during the war. Later, it was he who introduced the legislation in the House of Lords for Indian and Burmese independence. He was the last British Secretary of State for India. He then became the first Minister of State for Colonial Affairs. The most recent official post of this 46-year-old peer was as Under Secretary of the Ministry of Agriculture. Here now is Lord Listowel.
When I was a young man, I took to philosophy as an addict takes to dope. I chased the secret of life up and down the corridors of thought, from its dawn in ancient Greece to its high noon in Western Europe and America. I pursued it through the sacred books of the world religions, and after years of study, it still eluded me. I paused, wondering hopelessly whence I had come, why I was here, whither I was going. Then I suddenly realized that reason cannot give a certain or final answer to these questions, because they lie beyond the boundaries of knowledge. The yardstick of truth and falsehood, which I have been trying vainly to use, can only be applied to our experience of ourselves and the world around us, and to that refinement of experience we call science. The boundaries of knowledge are drawn by experience, and any statement that goes beyond it may be an act of faith or a philosophical hypothesis, but cannot be proved or disproved when masquerading as a statement of fact. Our sum of knowledge about the infinite and eternal universe surrounding us is fragmentary and incomplete as experience itself, and the mysteries of life and consciousness and values are still wrapped in impenetrable obscurity. But this failure to find life's meaning in philosophy was, by a strange paradox, the clue I needed to find the meaning of life. I had been looking all the time in the wrong place. Instead of looking backwards at the wisdom of the sages or outwards at the world picture of science, I should have looked inwards, into myself. And here I found, lurking in the irrational background of consciousness, that inner core of feeling, that sense of values, which Pascal described so well when he said that the heart has its reasons, which reason does not understand. At about this time I became a socialist in the English sense of the word, which derives socialism from the New Testament and not from Karl Marx. I was thus one of the first 3 hereditary peers to join the British Labour Party. In later years I met Mahatma Gandhi, the greatest living embodiment in our generation of the escape from self. He was staying at a sweeper's house in New Delhi, and could be seen wielding the broom, the emblem of a depressed class which had become outcasts in Hindu society. He seemed not so much to have overcome as to have transmuted the dross of human nature into the charm and gaiety of a supremely impersonal personality. As time passes, I find more and more that the qualities I most envy in others and would most gladly emulate, because they are the surest passport to the good life, are these 2, courage and love. I mean courage of a higher order than mere physical endurance. The courage to say no to my own greedy desires, to place conscience above expediency, to be reviled by the crowd, to bear my own misfortunes and those of others without bitterness or self-pity. The courage, above all, to offer everything for nothing, for an idea, a principle, a belief. And by love, I need hardly explain, I mean something different in texture and durability from a screen romance. Love starting from personal relationships and spreading from family and friends in widening circles of diminishing intensity to neighborhood and country, to other peoples and races, until it embraces the fitful happiness and the abiding sorrow of the larger human family. But love cannot be limited to persons. As love of truth, love of nature and art, love of freedom and equality, or just love of daily work for the common good, it becomes a
Calling all detectives. A man confesses a crime involving murder, even though he took no part in it. That is the situation on this page from my casebook, the casebook of Jerry Browning, private detective. If you ask me, Jerry Browning, private detective, what is justice, all I can tell you is I know it when I see it. Crimes of violence run in bunches. A couple of hoodlums will get together and spread terror in a city or a district until you catch up with them. That's why Lieutenant Dawson and I were cruising in the patrol car.
Cars 4, 16, 23, go to 18th and Westwood, signal 6.
Signal 6 was armed robbery. We were less than half a mile from the address given. Dawson shouted, "Jerry, watch out for suspicious-looking characters. We may catch up with these babies. I see somebody right now. Stop!" The man I saw was hurrying along across the street and keeping to the shadows. I dashed after him. "Hold it, I'll shoot!" He had no chance to escape. I frisked him swiftly, took his gun. "What's your name? Where are you going?"
"None of your business, copper."
Dawson came up.
"Got one of them, eh? Say, I know you. You're Frankie Cobbler. Hold out your wrist."
We shoved the sullen hoodlum into the police car, went on another couple of blocks to the scene of the robbery, a small grocery store. There'd been 2 men involved in the robbery, we learned, and the store proprietor, an old man, was shot in the shoulder by one of the trigger-happy mugs. By the time we got there, the old man had already been taken to a hospital. Dawson turned to his prisoner.
Who was on a job with you, cobbler? You'll never know, copper.
Up to that point, it was strictly routine stuff. But 2 hours later, another prowl car surprised 2 men in the act of holding up a gas station. Under questioning, they admitted the grocery store holdup and insisted that they'd never heard of Frankie Cobbler. Along about then, we also got word that the wounded grocer had gone into shock and was dead. A tough young hoodlum didn't deny taking part in a holdup, even though 2 other men subsequently confessed the crime. At police headquarters, our first prisoner, Frankie Cobbler, was brought to Lieutenant Dawson's office.
Cobbler, it's a murder rap. The grocer's dead.
Cobbler gulped and looked sick. Then he shrugged.
It's tough. A bum break.
Dawson looked at me, spread his hands in a helpless gesture. I turned to Cobbler. Frankie, did you ever hear of Tom Stafford and Mike DeWinter? Cobbler shook his head.
No. Who are they?
Couple of guys who want to save your neck. Cobbler's eyes became alert again.
You mean you got the guys who really stuck up the joint? Oh, that's for sure a break.
Frankie, why did you say you were in on that job when you weren't?
I never said I was. You did. I mean, when a cop wants to get you, if you deny it, he'll just beat it out of you.
Dawson gave him a look of contempt.
Nobody touched you, and you know it. Now get out of here. Jerry, that cobbler's one of the toughest mugs in town. I just don't get him.
I think I can give you the answer, Dawson, but I'd rather prove it first. I drove back to Westwood Avenue where we'd picked up Cobbler. It was a neighborhood of run-down apartment buildings, untidy homes, tiny stores. At that hour of night, only the taverns were open. I cruised up and down the empty street, saw nothing out of the ordinary until... A man spun around as he heard my footsteps.
Oh, it's just you, Browning.
Yeah, Pete. Just me. What were you expecting? Pete smiled thinly.
Nobody in particular.
Is that why you've got your hand on a gun in your pocket?
Look, Browning, you ain't a bad guy considering what you do. But you'll live lots longer if you don't go borrowing trouble.
I took a long chance. I'm not borrowing anything, Pete. I'm looking for Frankie Cobbler, too. Pete took his hand out of his pocket.
How did you find out?
Since I couldn't answer that one, I ignored it. Take my advice, Pete. Don't make me stop looking for Frankie and start looking for you. Well, now I had a little to go on. Pete Morden was muscle man and bodyguard for Happy Joe Alden, the bookmaker. Any time Pete went out gunning, it was a cinch he was on Happy Joe's business. Happy Joe's place was in back of a pool room on 16th Street. When I got there, the place was lighted but deserted. Happy Joe did business in a big back room. He was there, sitting at a desk, looking as happy as anybody could, with 3 bullet holes in his chest. It's an eerie feeling to cruise the streets of a sleeping city at 2, 3, 4 in the morning. But that's exactly what I did. By 4, the very latest of the late spots closed their doors. And at 4:15, I got out of my parked car as Frankie Cobbler came darting down the street.
Hello, Frankie. What's your hurry?
Cobbler froze in his tracks.
I ain't gonna run. Give me a break. Don't shoot.
I walked closer, let him get a good look at me. Frankie, you sure are a nervous type. Afraid of cops, afraid of anybody, it looks like.
You again. What do you want this time?
You, Frankie. I want you to admit that you killed Happy Joe Alden. That's why you confessed the grocery store holdup before you realized what a rap it was. Because you just killed Happy Joe and couldn't explain where you'd been. Frankie laughed.
Were you dumb shamus? You really expect me to tell you I killed Happy Joe just like that?
I expect you to confess, Frankie, but not just like that. You haven't got a gun. The police took it away from you, which leaves you practically naked. I jerked my thumb back over my shoulder. Pete Morden is gunning for you, Frankie. If I don't get you, he will. We both heard the quiet footsteps down the block. We looked, but there was nothing to see. It might have been a late celebrator entering a building. Or Pete Morden, waiting. I turned to Frankie. It's the brakes. You haven't been getting them tonight, Frankie. Huh? What do you say?
Okay. I killed him. But it was self-defense.
Save it for the jury. Let's go, Frankie. And that's how Dawson got credit for solving 2 murders in one night. A poor elderly grocer and a bookmaker who was pressing too hard for the payment of back debts. Like I said, justice is only a word until it's aimed at you. Listen next time to Calling All Detectives. Mystery drama, mystery quiz, and a chance for you to match wits with yours truly, Jerry Browning, Private Detective.
Creative passion which raises us above our animal heritage and the substance of that inner core where our true self resides.
That was Lord Listowel, former British Cabinet Minister and expert on the British Commonwealth.
Quentin, look.
The window. Torn out of its frame.
No, they're on the floor. Sylvia.
Good Lord. Her head twisted almost off, and her body looks as if every bone in it was broken.
Midnight, the witching hour when the night is darkest, our fears the strongest, and our strength at its lowest ebb. Midnight, when the graves gape open and death strikes. How? You'll learn the answer in just a moment in Death's Worshipper. And now, Murder at Midnight. Tales of mystery and terror by radio's masters of the macabre. Our story by J. Williams is a tale of fear from afar called Death's Worshipper. On the surface, it's a New York apartment like thousands of others. In a house with a brownstone front on a dark little street. But to Kate Bonney, living here with her brother Peter, it has become a prison cell, a place of menace, a house of terror.
I can't explain, Peter. It's as though I were caught in a spider's web, waiting helplessly while the spider comes closer.
But, Kate, you still haven't told me just exactly what's troubling you.
It's real, Peter. It's a feeling that, well, like in a nightmare when you know something awful is after you and you can't escape. It's drawing closer. It's coming here to this room to find me. What'll I do, Peter? What shall I do?
Please, Kate, pull yourself together. You've got to.
I'm sorry, Peter. I'll try.
Ah, that's better. Now then, let's have it. I can't come home every night to a sister who's afraid of the dark. What's it all about?
Do you remember the weekend I spent at Quentin's place in the country?
Just after he got back from India? Yes, of course.
You couldn't make it and I went alone?
The conference in Chicago, I remember. Reminds me, I wonder why I haven't heard from him since. Those letters he wrote about some discoveries he made.
Discoveries? Don't mention them.
Why not?
Because I have an idea that they're behind everything that happened.
What do you mean?
He didn't even mention the expedition until after dinner that first night. There were just the three of us, Quentin, Sylvia, and myself. He went into quite a bit of detail describing his reasons for going. The long trip through the jungle.
Finally came to a little gaunt village and tackled what I was sure was the last belt of jungle. That last stretch took us 6 hours. At last we broke out into a clearing, and there it was, towering above us, the temple of Shiva the Destroyer.
Oh, that must have been a thrilling moment.
Thrilling? You can't possibly know what that meant to me.
I was just frightened.
Sylvia frightens rather easily.
That's not true, Quentin. It's just that it looked like some kind of crouching beast with a single devil's horn.
Rubbish. It was breathtaking, Kate. Imagine a great square block of stone set in a riot of jungle foliage. Out of it rises a tremendous three-cornered spire fully 100 feet high.
Oh, that must have been magnificent.
Yes, and the whole thing covered with a lace tracery of stone carving.
And this is what you had set out to find?
This was it. Oh. You see, the Hindu Trimurti, or Trinity, is composed of 3 deities. Brahma, the creator, Vishnu, the preserver, and Shiva, the destroyer.
Yes.
Well, in this tiny district in the hills, there had once been a local cult which worshipped only the destroyer. In a curious and perverted way, well, the worshippers became their god.
I don't understand.
When they prayed to Shiva, the god himself entered and took possession of them. They were Shiva, with all the powers and all the frightful energy of the god.
But good heaven.
No, not a very good heaven. For you see, the heaven of these worshippers was nothingness.
Nothingness?
Yes. For them, the ultimate goal of man was destruction, the merging of oneself into a kind of cosmic non-existence.
Now you can understand how I felt, Kate, when I first looked at that temple.
Yes.
I suppose that, yes, even a greater mind than yours, Sylvia, might well shrink before the majesty of a concept like that.
Well, I know I would have been frightened, too.
But India is a place where just such a concept would originate. Life means nothing there. Death flourishes in 1,000 forms. I climbed the spire of the temple and looked down over the sea of jungle to the brown river in the distance and the thread of smoke that marked the village. I was a midget, an ant, crawling over the surface of a giant's house. Shiva is the giant, and humanity, we're so insignificant, so worthless. I wonder if they weren't right after all, those worshippers of the destroyer.
Quentin.
Perhaps death, nothingness, is the greatest goal.
Stop it, Quentin. Stop it. Stop it. Do you hear?
Sylvia.
Oh, don't worry, Kate, and don't bother.
Oh, but I don't... I'm all right. No. Sorry, Kate. I think I'd better go to bed.
Yes, you're tired, Sylvia.
I am tired. These wild ideas of yours. Of all this talk about Shiva, destruction. I wish you'd get those thoughts out of your head, Quentin. You haven't been the same man since...
Good night, Sylvia.
Sylvia, are you sure you're all right now?
Yes. Yes, Kate. I'm fine.
But she wasn't fine, Peter. And it wasn't just fatigue that was bothering her. She was frightened, I could see that. Frightened out of her wits by something. And Quentin was different. When Sylvia had left us, he sat looking at me silently for a long while. And when at last he spoke, it was on another note.
You know, Kate, all this talk of nothingness and death makes me believe more firmly than ever that man must try for happiness while he's alive.
I agree. At least it's a pleasanter subject than what we've just been talking about.
I'm glad you think so. Because I'm not happy now, Kate.
But I thought you and Sylvia...
Sylvia, there's nothing between us, nothing. Hasn't been for years.
But
No, not even when we first got married. But you... When I first met you with your brother Peter years ago, something happened to me. My heart sang. It was as though I had burst out my shell. I knew then.
Quentin, you don't know what you're saying.
I do. For the first time in years, I know exactly what I'm saying. I found a philosophy I can believe in, Kate, in a troubled world. And for the first time, I've found strength to tell you that I love you.
Quentin, please.
Kate, listen. Don't be alarmed. It would be so easy to go away together. Anything is possible for me now. Anything. We will go away. It doesn't matter where.
No.
We'll find a new life together. The power I know can be yours, too. I love you, Kate. We can make a new world for ourselves. We can be the gods of that world.
Quentin, stop.
I see. I didn't really expect you to say yes immediately. It is quite a decision. But perhaps I can get you to change your mind.
Quentin, you mustn't think.
You're right. I mustn't think. I must act.
I knew I wouldn't be able to sleep after that. I didn't even try. I went out for a walk. And when I got back, about a half hour later, there was a light in the studio at the far end of the garden. I was curious enough to walk over and look in the window. The room within was hung with oriental tapestries, with odd, crooked Eastern swords. Quentin sat alone, staring at a figure on the table before him. I could hear him through the window. His face was set, wooden, expressionless, but his eyes seemed to shine in the candlelight like a cat's. And the figure before him, it was horrible. It was a bronze statuette with a serene but awful smile on his face, a smile of hellish triumph. A dozen arms sprang from each shoulder. It bore a club with a skull at its tip, and it seemed to dance upon the back of a crouching dwarf. And Quentin, staring at it, was speaking to it. I didn't know what it meant. I only knew that it was awful. That in some dreadful way, Quentin was trying to make his belief come alive. I ran up the lawn, and the clouds that spread over the moon seemed like dark shapes rising from some infernal pit. Wings seemed to be beating about the house as the wind rose. And in my ears rang Quentin's chanting. Even in my room I could hear it, mingled with the moaning of the wind. The moon had disappeared. I couldn't see the light in the studio. I was too far to hear it, but the chanting went on. I don't know. I seemed to hear voices in the wind, many voices chanting with Quentin. Thunder growled up from the darkness. Then there was a single flash of lightning and a clap of thunder, and on the heels of the thunder... Oh, Sylvia! Sylvia, are you all right? Sylvia, what's the matter? Oh, Sylvia!
Hey, Sylvia, what was that?
Where are you, Quentin?
Here. I was down in the garden. Did you hear?
Yes, it sounded like it came from Sylvia's room.
This way, quick.
Oh.
She must have been having a nightmare.
Oh. Quentin, look.
The window. Torn right out of its frame.
No, there. On the floor. Sylvia.
Good Lord.
Is she?
Let's see. Good heavens. Her head twisted all around until... And her body... It looks as if almost every bone in it is broken.
Staring at the broken body which has been flung against the wall with unimaginable force, lying there like a shattered doll, Kate sways weakly in horror. Is this the work of some demon called up by Quentin's incantation? Or is it something else? Then, as a clock strikes somewhere in the silent house, she is certain of at least one thing in a reeling world, that she is in the presence of murder at midnight. And now, back to Murder at Midnight and Death's Worshipper. Pale and shaking, Kate Bonney continues telling her story to her brother.
It was as though something with superhuman strength had twisted her head around and then just tossed her aside against the wall. Every bone in her body was broken.
It must have been pretty ghastly, but surely you're not going to let the memory of that...
It has nothing to do with memory. Something that's more than human. I don't know what killed Sylvia. And now it's after me.
After you?
Haven't you seen the papers in the last few days?
No, you know I've been up to my neck in work. What's that got to do with it?
Oh, look here. These clippings, I've been saving them.
Let's see. Another unsolved murder. Police admit bafflement. No motive. Well?
Go on. Read the rest of it.
Middle-aged man identified as J.D. Brathwaite, broker. Neck was wrung, apparently, by someone with tremendous physical strength.
Yes, and this one. An unidentified woman, neck wrung and the body thrown against the wall. And this, and this, and this. All the same.
Kate, darling, this is all perfectly ridiculous.
No, look. Here's a map of our neighborhood. The first death took place up here. The next 2 blocks further south. Don't you see? One after the other, they're coming closer to this house, to me.
Kate, now listen, it's quite clear what's happened. You were upset by Sylvia's death, naturally. Just because of the coincidence of these crimes, you have an obsession that someone or something is haunting you. You've been working too hard. And I suppose you've been having nightmares, too.
They're not nightmares.
I'm going to run across the street to Dr. Sanford.
No, Peter.
You lie down and try to rest. I'll bring Sanford over and have him take a look at you. You're all run down.
No, Peter, don't leave me. You don't know what
Pour yourself a drink, Katie. I won't be a minute.
Who's that? Peter. Is that you? Peter, answer me. Is that... Who is it?
Hello, Kate. How are you?
Don't come any closer. I'll call Peter.
Why, Kate? What's the matter?
I suspected then when it happened. And now these last few days I know. Sylvia, you did it. You killed her, Quentin. I don't know how, but
You're mistaken, Kate. It wasn't I. I was only the instrument of something greater, stronger than man.
Quentin? What do you mean?
Don't be afraid. He's really benign.
He?
Shiva the Destroyer.
Oh.
It is his love for mankind that allows him to bring the blessing of annihilation.
Oh, no.
I worshipped him, and he came. He came in a rush of wind on the thunder and took possession of me. I was Shiva. Using my body, he climbed the wall, burst the window in. He killed Sylvia.
Oh, no.
Yes, Kate, I became Shiva. At least I must have. I don't remember it clearly, but there were great wings, lightnings. When I came to myself, I was seated in my studio again.
And those others?
You know about them? Yes, I killed others. I don't remember how many. But all life will end in nothingness, and man's highest goal is to dissolve into dust. I was conferring on them the highest possible blessing, obliteration.
And then you're mad. Your discovery...
My discovery has made me a god. Now he's starting to come to me now without the incantation, without my willing it. Sometimes at night I feel the great wind of his coming. I turn to ice as the god approaches to seize upon me, and... Kate, I'm afraid.
But why did you come here? What do you want of me?
I need you, Kate. I'm afraid. That's the truth. I'm afraid of the blackness, of the nothingness, of the inevitable end of all things. When I'm alone, I feel the horror of it, of the darkness. You can save me, Kate. You're the only one who can help me. Sylvia's gone. There's nothing to prevent...
You don't know what you're saying.
Come in, Doctor. Oh, Quentin. Hello. I was just...
Stay where you are. Don't come any closer.
A gun? Now, look, Quentin.
I warn you, don't come any closer. Stand still, Peter. Kate, for the last time, will you come?
Quentin, please listen to reason. Put that gun down.
Quentin, easy, Peter.
I wouldn't mind killing you, Peter. But if you wish to live, stay where you are. And don't follow me.
Has he gone mad or what? Kate, what happened?
I'm not sure. He killed Sylvia. He admitted it. And he's killed I don't know how many others.
What?
It's true. He believes that Shiva, the destroyer, controls him. He believes that when he kills, he's granting a blessings to the one he destroys.
But that's crazy.
No, not so crazy, Peter. May I say something?
Why, of course, Doctor.
I thought there was something wrong with him the minute I saw him. His eyes, I think it's a case of self-hypnosis. Something like the Moros practice when they run amok. They believe that they're possessed by God, and while in this state, they can actually perform amazing feats of strength and endurance. A number of primitive peoples have the same belief. Dervishes, Indian fakirs. Your friend must induce this state by an incantation of some kind, or by concentrating on some object until the hypnotic state is induced.
That's true. I heard him. I saw him praying to the image of Shiva. That's how he must do it.
Well, if it is true, he's extremely dangerous. We'd better get the police. May I use the phone?
Wait, I can't believe it.
He certainly wasn't joking about that gun, Peter. And according to your sister, he's already killed several times.
No, he mustn't do that. Peter's right. We're his friends. And he loves me. He said I was the only one who could help him. He really is afraid and alone.
Of course, Kate. Doctor, Quint and I were kids together. If he's in trouble, we've got to do something to help him, not call the police down on him. Where do you think he's gone?
I'm sure he's gone back to his house in the country. We could try there anyway.
My car is just around the corner. I think we're taking an awful chance, but on the other hand...
It's a chance we've got to take, Doctor. He told me that Shiva comes to him now without incantation. I'm terribly afraid of him and of what might happen. But I'm more afraid of what he may do now to himself or to someone else.
We turn right here below the toll gate.
That dirt road?
Yes. Look, isn't that a tail light up ahead?
Another car. It may be his.
There's a storm coming up.
If it'll just hold off for a while.
A storm. Just like that first.
Here, the other car's turning off.
That's the driveway to Quentin's house.
Step on it. The house is dark.
Perhaps we were wrong.
No. I know where he is. This way around to the back.
There's the light.
That's the studio.
Quiet. Let's have a look first. Well, he's there. Alone. Sitting behind the table with some sort of statue in front of him.
Statue of Shiva.
The door is open. Come on.
The bright one, the happy one, Ishtar Devata, Soma Vivesvara.
Quentin, what are you doing?
The incantation. He's calling up that demon. Quentin, stop. Quentin, it's Kate. Don't you hear me? Stop it, please. Please, Quentin.
Kate? Kate, is that... Approach.
He's in a trance.
Shall we?
No, don't touch him. The slightest thing now might turn him into a raging maniac. Let your sister try.
Quentin, you must stop. This awful thing, it isn't you anymore. It's not what you want. You said you loved me. If that's true, you must shake this madness off.
Kate, calling me. I can't. He's too strong for me.
Try, Quentin. Try. You can do it. Come back, Quentin. If you really love me, fight it. Fight it.
I can't. He's coming. Coming. Can't you hear them? Get away, Kate, before he comes. Only one thing left. One thing I can possibly... the statue. Smash it and... Don't move, Peter.
What was it?
I can't see. That flash.
Lightning. It must have struck.
Quentin. Quentin.
Let me look, Kate. He's dead. That lightning bolt killed him immediately.
Dr. Sanford.
Hmm?
What's that on his forehead?
Burn. Lightning does curious things.
Yes, but there. The head of the statue he smashed. The same mark on its brow. Like an eye. A third eye. The mark of Shiva.
The vengeance of a thwarted god? Or coincidence? Kate and her brother look at each other, and then again at the contorted face with that inexplicable burn etched like the mark of Cain upon its forehead. And in the distance, from some far-off steeple, a clock begins to chime the hour. 12 strokes for... murder! At Remember to be with us again when death hovers on dark bat wings and the clocks strike 12 for murder at midnight. The part of Kate was played by Bess Johnson, and Carl Emery was Quentin. With music by Charles Paul, Murder at Midnight was directed by Anton M. Leader.
This I believe. Lord Oaksey is one of England's most distinguished jurists. He achieved international renown as presiding justice of the Nuremberg War criminal trials. Then he was known as Lord Justice Lawrence. He was elevated to the peerage in 1947. In the famous Profile series in the London Observer, it was written, Lord Oaksey's life and career have a simple pattern which never seems to vary. There is a sense in which he is thoroughly representative of all those values which are associated, especially by people who are not English, with Victorian English gentlemen. He would have felt at home with the Forsyths. Lord Oaksey is a collector of antique china. He has always had hobbies. When he is finished in court, he likes to slip away to his country house, to his horses, and his famous herd of Guernseys. Perhaps his judicial mind, that ability to weigh up the pros and cons, to remain detached and free from impulse, helps him to be such a good judge of animals. Certainly, that curious legal faculty of being able to remember, not one but hundreds of legal precedents, obscure cases, and ancient judgments, must account for his astonishing memory of famous sires and pedigrees. Thus writes the London Observer. Now, here to speak for himself is Lord Oaksey.
Beliefs should be few and unshakable like rocks, not numberless and shifting like the sands of the sea. In matters of performance, I believe in intensity, since neither the mind nor the body can produce its best except at white heat. In matters of principle, I believe in simplicity. When I joined the army as an artilleryman in September 1914, I found that almost all artillery problems could be solved by a very few simple principles, almost as accurately as by a slide rule, and that in moments of crisis it was essential to have these simple principles so fixed in your mind that you could not forget them. A slide rule can be lost or broken. In the same way, your principles should, I believe, be few and simple, and ingrained into your very being. There is then no difficulty in following them if you have the will. It is over-refinement in their application that leads to perplexity. In perplexity, I believe in inspiration. The test of sanity in English law is to be able to distinguish right from wrong, and no sane person believes that wrong is right. If there is any doubt, resolve the doubt against your own interest. Never sail too close to the wind. Rules should be observed in their spirit as well as in their letter. I believe, too, in opportunity, or luck, as some would call it. How often are opportunities thrown away, owing to the irritation or boredom in waiting for them? Any game player will agree with me, and what is true in games is true in life. The last 4 lines of Adam Lindsay Gordon's poem have always appealed to me. Life is naught but froth and bubble. 2 things stand like stone. Kindness in another's trouble, courage in your own.
There, the beliefs of England's Lord Oaksey, who is the son of a former Lord Chief Justice, and who himself, now in his 70s, can look back with satisfaction upon a brilliant career before the bar and the bench.
Old Dutch Cleanser, famous for chasing dirt, presents Nick Carter, famous for chasing crime. Every week at this time, 2 great names are joined as Old Dutch Cleanser brings you one of the most resourceful and daring characters in all detective fiction, Nick Carter, Master Detective.
A gambling ship, Nick. That sounds exciting.
If you call losing your money exciting, Patsy, you're right. But I'm not going out there for the fun of it.
Oh, I suppose you'd rather go fishing.
I certainly would. And I'd rather fish for fish than for a murderer.
Now for the case of the missing piano player. Today's thrilling Nick Carter adventure, brought to you by Old Dutch Cleanser. Our story begins in the roulette room of the gambling ship, which is anchored off the Atlantic coast. Several customers are gathered about the large roulette table as the croupier prepares to spin the wheel.
No more bets, ladies and gentlemen, that's all. No more bets.
Hey, Bill, stop playing a minute.
Yeah, Gus?
No more music. The boss wants to see you in his office.
Oh, okay, Gus. What's wrong?
Come on.
What's wrong, Gus? Can't you tell me?
The boss will talk about that. Inside, Bill.
Okay.
Hello, Edwards.
You wanted to see me, Mr. Simmons?
Yes. Why haven't you been following my orders?
I was hired to play the piano, not the customers.
You know what you were supposed to do when you took the job.
I took the job because I needed it, but I've been thinking it over, and I've decided that a crooked roulette wheel is not in my line.
You knew the wheel was fixed when we hired you.
That's why you was hired. Now you're welching on the deal.
And I want to know why.
Well, I got a sister to take care of.
What's that to us?
Just this, Mr. Dutch Zeman. I've decided to quit.
Don't you know nobody quits this racket once he's in it?
I just want to get out of here. My sister's a swell gal, and I just can't afford to stay around here and end up behind the 8-ball.
You're behind the 8-ball right now, Edward.
And it's mighty black, too.
I don't want to...
Take care of things.
Sure, boss. Sure.
Well, what are you going to do?
You're going for a little walk, Edwards. A little walk with Gus. Up to the bow of the ship.
Patsy,
Yes, Nick.
you about finished with our case histories?
Don't worry, Mr. Carter. They'll all be nicely typed and ready for filing before you go away on your vacation. I don't see why I had to go. Oh, someone at the door, Nick. I'll go.
Thanks, Patsy.
Homicide, Sergeant Matheson.
Oh, hello, Matty.
Oh, hiya, Nick. What cooks?
Me. I'm off for a vacation, fishing.
Yeah?
Just called to say that Patsy will know where I am if anything develops that requires my attention.
It won't. Where you going?
Sandy Point.
I wish I was going along with you.
So do I, Matty. Well, I'll be seeing you.
Okay, Nick. Have fun.
Nick, this is Mr. John Reardon.
How do you do, Mr. Reardon? Sit down.
Thank you, Mr. Carter.
Mr. Reardon has a problem, Nick. I told him you were just about to go away, but he's very anxious to talk to you about one of your pet hates, gambling.
Oh, is that so? Well, just what's your difficulty, Mr. Reardon?
A gambling ship. I've lost a great deal of money on it.
But why come to me about that?
I'm convinced that the roulette wheel on the ship is crooked. If I can prove it, that is, if I can get you to prove it, I may be able to get back some of my losses.
Sorry I can't help you, Mr. Reardon, but I'm off on a fishing trip.
Mr. Reardon, if you're convinced that this gambling ship is crooked, why don't you go to the police?
Well, in the first place, I can't afford the publicity, and in the second place, the police would merely raid the ship and shut it down, and I'd have no chance to get back my losses.
Oh.
Mr. Carter.
Yes?
I've heard about your big hobby, your downtown boys' club.
Well?
If you'll look into this matter for me, I'm prepared to make a very substantial donation to your boys' club.
What? Oh, Nick, that would be wonderful.
Yeah. Where is this gambling ship?
Anchored off the coast, reached by launch from the town of Thompson's Cove.
Thompson's Cove? Why, that's only a few miles from Sandy Point, where I'm going for my week of fishing.
Well, then...
Tell you what I'll do, Mr. Reardon. I'll take a look at this gambling ship. If I find anything, I'll take your case.
I can't ask for any more than that.
But, just why do you think this gambling ship isn't on the level?
Mr. Carter, I'm convinced the roulette wheel is fixed. Trouble is, I don't know just how it's done.
That kind of evidence isn't very satisfactory in a courtroom.
Well, if we can just find out how it's done, I can confront the gambling syndicate with the facts and...
Get back your money and close up the ship.
That's it.
Well, Mr. Reardon, I'll take a run out there and have a look. Suggest you meet me at the hotel at Thompson's Cove in a couple of days, and I'll give you my decision.
I'll do that, Mr. Carter. And I'm grateful to you.
Well, don't be grateful yet. Good day, Mr. Reardon.
Good day, Mr. Carter. Miss Bowen?
Goodbye, Mr. Reardon.
Well, Patsy, you better hurry up and finish those case histories.
Oh, Nick, why do I
I'll
have...
need you with me when I go out to that gambling ship tomorrow night.
Well, why didn't you say so? That's different. You mean we don't have to pay to ride on this launch?
No. The gambling ship provides free transportation to its guests.
Oh. Hey, there are some prosperous-looking people on board, Nick.
They have to be to play roulette.
Nick,
Hmm?
you see that young girl over by the rail? She can't be over 18.
Pretty, too.
I wonder why she's going out to the ship. She seems to be alone.
You know, Patsy, I think that'd be a good idea if you try to find her out. She's not the gambling type at all.
Right, Nick. I'll strike up a conversation with her as soon as we get aboard. Nick, I want you to meet Miss Edwards, Mr. Carter. How do you do, Mr. Carter?
Delighted to meet you, Miss Edwards.
I noticed you coming out on the launch.
Well, it's always flattering to be noticed by a pretty girl.
Thank you.
Miss Bowen and I were both wondering why a girl like you would be visiting a place like this, alone.
See that piano over there in the roulette room?
Yes.
My brother Bill played that piano until last night.
Oh, did he lose his job?
I don't know.
You don't know?
No. All I know is he didn't come home last night. You see, we live together in Thompson's Cove. I have a job there.
And you've come out here to find out what happened to your brother?
If I can, Mr. Carter. I'm terribly worried.
Well, possibly I can be of some assistance.
Oh, if you only could.
I think the first step in that direction is the present piano player. I'll go over and have a chat with him.
No more bets. No more bets. Number 13.
Why'd you stop playing the piano so abruptly, son?
I don't like that number much.
How about playing tunes busting out all over?
I don't like that one either.
You're new here, aren't you?
Kinda.
What happened to the former piano player? The one who played here last night?
I got no idea.
Any idea who could tell me about the other piano player?
Say, why don't you mind your own business?
Why, I'm just curious to find out. Why do you stop right in the middle of a tune?
Listen, Nosey, you come out here to gamble or talk to me?
I like to see what...
Mr. Carter.
Yes, who are you?
Never mind.
But you know my name.
Sure. So does the boss. Matter of fact, the boss wants to see you in his office right away.
I'll be delighted to meet the boss. As a matter of fact, I was just about to ask someone for a proper introduction.
Okay. Follow me. I'll introduce you good and proper. Here's Mr. Carter, boss.
Hello, Nick Carter.
How do you do? Don't believe I've had the pleasure.
Simmons the name. Duff Simmons.
Glad to know you. And your friend here?
My name's Gus. Gus Jones.
Well, gentlemen, now that we're acquainted...
Carter, I want to know what you're doing on this ship.
Isn't my money as good as any other sucker's?
I don't like that crack, Carter. This is an honest ship.
I never heard of a gambling ship that was honest.
How would you know whether or not we're honest? You haven't been gambling. We spotted you the minute you got aboard. And we know you're a private eye giving us the once-over. Who are you working for?
Why, you should know that it's unethical for me to divulge the name of a client.
That's a laugh. A private dick talking about ethics.
Some of us are on the level.
And by the way, who are your two girlfriends?
One is my assistant, Miss Bowen. And the other is a Miss Ethel Edwards, whose brother played the piano in your roulette room until last night.
Oh, yeah. Bill Edwards. Nice kid.
What happened to him?
How should I know?
He didn't go home last night. Strange, a youngster should just vanish.
So you're working for the kid's sister?
Could be.
Well, you're entirely too inquisitive, Mr. Carter. And if I ever see you on the ship again, maybe you'll vanish, too.
Tough, aren't you?
Tough enough to handle you. Gus.
Yeah, boss?
Take Carter and his assistant and his new girlfriend to the next launch.
Okay.
And see that they get back to shore.
Well, that was quite a ship.
Yeah. Fantastic, isn't it? The way people flock to a place like that just to lose their money.
My brother Bill says they do a big business.
Expensive layout, all right. Now we've got to figure out how to get back there. Miss Bowen and I have been barred.
Barred?
Uh-huh.
Why?
Miss Edwards, I'm a private detective, and Miss Bowen is my assistant.
Oh.
I'm investigating something on the ship for a client. But when I heard about your missing brother, I decided I'd look into that, too.
Thank you, Mr. Carter. Hope you can find out what's happened to him.
I will, if it's at all possible. And I think I'll start by having a chat with the pilot of this launch.
Oh, we better wait for you back here, Nick.
All right, Patsy. It'll only be a moment.
Okay.
Nice night, Skipper.
Nice enough.
Suppose you sometimes get rough weather.
Sometimes.
What do you do when it gets really tough?
Don't run.
But how do the customers get back and forth to the ship, then?
They don't.
Oh. And I suppose you decided the ship will be open for business each evening.
Yeah, that's about it, mister.
Wow. I should think the owners of the ship would certainly value your services.
Not too much. I've been working here for more than a year and got no raise yet.
Oh? Well, how about the men who work on the ship? Do the bosses treat them pretty well? Financially, I mean?
I wouldn't know, mister. You know somebody back there on the ship?
Just a kid who plays the piano.
Who's that?
Bill Edwards.
Nice kid. Haven't seen him in a couple of days.
You mean he didn't come back with you last night?
No, he didn't, and he usually writes... Say, why are you asking me all these questions?
Thanks, Skipper. See you again.
Yeah, wait a minute. What can I take a look?
Well, Nick, learn anything?
Miss Edwards, the pilot tells me your brother didn't return to shore last night. Unless he swam.
But Bill isn't a very good swimmer, and he wouldn't try to swim ashore. It's too far.
That's what I'm afraid of, Patsy.
He's dead, Mr. Carter. I just know it. I had a feeling...
Don't cry, Ethel. We don't know what's happened to him yet.
Mr. Carter, you said you'd help me.
And I will. I'm going through with this investigation now, no matter what happens.
So, a casual look into a possible gambling swindle on Nick's part suddenly turns into a murder investigation. Or is it murder? We'll see in just a moment. Now, back to the case of the missing piano player. Today's Nick Carter adventure brought to you by Old Dutch Cleanser. It is the following morning. Nick is in John Reardon's hotel room at Thompson's Cove, where Reardon has come to hear Nick's first report.
Mr. Reardon, that gambling ship is run by a group of dangerous men.
I thought so.
They warned me not to return to the ship, or I'd vanish.
Well, why?
Because I think I may be on the track of a murder.
Murder?
That's right. A young piano player named Bill Edwards.
I remember him.
Why?
Why, I liked his music.
Well, this kid was playing the piano in the roulette room until the night before last. Then he vanished.
How do you know?
Miss Bone and I met his sister on the launch going out to the ship.
And?
From what she told us, Mr. Reardon, young Bill Edwards is a prisoner on that ship. Or dead.
You notified the police?
No, because I'm not sure of anything yet.
Well, in the meantime, how about that roulette wheel? Is it crooked? Is it fixed?
Shouldn't be at all surprised after my conversation with Mr. Dutch Zimmern and his pal Gus. I also think it may have something to do with the piano.
Piano, eh?
Yes. Right now, my main problem is getting back to the ship.
And how do you intend to do that?
I've decided to take your case.
Good, very good.
But I'm afraid it's going to cost you some extra money for a bribe.
How much?
Possibly $500, possibly $1,000.
Well, that's nothing compared to what I've lost out there. Agreed.
Thanks for the vote of confidence.
Your call, please?
Thompson's Cove, 7386, extension 8.
7386, extension 8?
Right.
One moment, please.
What are you doing, Carter?
Calling the ship. Phone number was on the guest card I got from this hotel. The extension I recall from Mr. Dutch Zimmern's phone in his office.
Hello?
Hello? Is Gus there?
This is Gus. Who's this?
This is Nick Carter.
Nick Carter? What?
Gus? How'd you like to pick up an extra $500?
For what?
Thought that for $500 you'd see that I got back on that ship.
That's a tough thing to arrange, Carter. The boss don't like you. I can't guarantee what'd happen.
All right. How about $1,000?
Okay. It's a deal. But I won't promise what'll happen after you get aboard.
I'll worry about that. Just meet me in Curran's Bar and Grill in Thompson's Cove this afternoon at 4. Have another drink, Gus?
Might as well. What's the matter? You ain't touched yours.
I will later. Waiter?
Yeah.
Another of the same.
Yeah, coming up.
This booze sure tastes funny.
Just your imagination. Gus, what do you know about Bill Edwards?
Nice kid. Good piano player, too. It's too bad.
What happened to him?
He disappeared.
Where? Isn't he somewhere on the ship?
Here you are, mister.
Oh, thanks, waiter.
Right.
Well, Gus, drink hearty.
Yeah. Sure.
What happened to Bill Edwards, Gus?
Bill Edwards?
Yes. Where is he?
He's dead.
Where?
Got funny tasting booze in this joint.
How did Bill Edwards die, Gus? Where's his body?
There was an old anchor on the bow of the ship. Been there for years. Ain't there now. We had to use it. Yeah, we used it.
So that's the answer.
Huh?
Thank you, Gus. You've helped a lot.
Homicide, Sergeant Matheson.
Hello, Matty. Nick.
Nick, where are you?
Thompson's Cove Hotel. Matty, can you come out here right away?
What's up? Thought you were on a vacation.
Been interrupted by a murder, and I need a little police cooperation, and fast.
Can do, Nick. So happens I know the police officers out there very well.
Fine. Can you come right out?
Sure. Things are quiet here in town.
Thanks, Matty. And be sure to wear your old clothes.
Why?
I've arranged a fishing expedition for you.
Big crowd here tonight, Nick.
Yes, but it's amazing the way people like to get rid of money. Good evening, Tex.
Ah, you here again?
This is Miss Bowen.
Hi.
Hi. I enjoy your playing very much.
Thanks.
Miss Bowen and I were wondering why you don't use the entire keyboard.
I don't get you.
You never seem to play on the extreme bass or the extreme treble. It's such a fine instrument, it's a shame not to use the whole keyboard.
Why don't you two go away and play games?
I told you to stay off this ship, Carter.
Oh, hello, Dutch. Oh, this is my assistant, Miss Bowen.
How do you do?
Carter, this thing you feel in the middle of your back is a gun.
That's what I thought.
Start walking to my office.
Mind if I come along?
You stay here. I'm going to have a little talk with your boyfriend. Alone.
I guess you're not wanted, Patsy. See you later.
All right, Nick. I'll be waiting for you.
You were a fool to come back, Carter. I warned you.
I remember, Dutch. You used to said if I ever came back here, I'd vanish. Like Bill Edwards.
That's what you're going to do.
Yeah?
Yeah. Open that door.
Come in, Mr. Carter.
Mr. Reardon?
Yes. Close the door, Dutch.
Sure, Reardon.
And no sudden moves, either of you. I've got you both covered. I wouldn't want any trouble.
Well, that is certainly an unexpected turn of events. We'll see what happens next in just a moment. And now for the conclusion of the case of the missing piano player. Today's adventure with Nick Carter, brought to you by Old Dutch Cleanser. We pick up our story where we left off, as Reardon says to Dutch and Nick.
No sudden moves, either of you. I've got you both covered. I wouldn't want any trouble.
What's the idea, Reardon? Why the gun?
Looks like he's gone screwy, Dutch.
Shut up, Gus. I'll do the talking.
Reardon, what are you doing here?
This is my office, Carter.
Our office. So you boys are partners in this racket.
Nice deduction, Carter.
I wondered how long it'd take for you to come out in the open, Reardon. But why the gun?
Gus and Dutch are going to do some explaining.
So you hired Carter?
Correct. I hired him to check up on you two.
Why, you?
Now, perhaps you'll tell me why you've brought Carter in here at the point of the gun?
He's too nosy.
Been asking too many questions. He knows too much.
That's right. He knows too much about a crooked roulette for you.
You mean to say that this smart aleck has been telling you...
Let's listen to what Carter has to say, Dutch. Speak up, Carter.
Gladly, Mr. Reardon. At first, inasmuch as you seem to know Dutch so well, will you be good enough to tell him to take that automatic out of my spine?
You heard him, Dutch. Drop the gun on the floor.
You'll be sorry for this, Reardon.
Thanks.
Well, Carter, how about that roulette wheel?
It's fixed.
That's a lie.
Prove it.
Quiet, both of you. All right, Carter. Prove it.
You'll take that piano apart, you'll find the answer. There are wires under the rug, from the piano to the roulette wheel. As the wheel starts spinning, the piano starts playing. At a signal from the croupier, the piano player who faces the croupier stops playing abruptly.
You're crazy, Carter.
Go ahead, Carter. I noticed that the pianist never touches the extreme treble or bass keys except when he stops playing. Then he does press a certain key at one end or the other. A key in the bass for black, a key in the treble for red. It's as simple as that, Reardon.
So much for the mechanics. What else?
This fact should also be of interest to you. Some of the customers are very pally with the croupier, and they're always the same customers.
Listen, Carter, you...
And these customers walk away from that table with some handsome winnings. Winnings in which you do not share, Reardon, but in which Dutch and Gus do.
Reardon, are you going to believe this bum, Carter, or us? I'm going to believe Carter. Carter doesn't lie. All right, Reardon, what are you going to do about it? Just this, Dutch. I'm going to dissolve our partnership here and now. Hey, Dutch, he's going to... What's the idea of knocking me over, Carter? Huh?
You don't want to be a killer, too, Reardon.
Don't move, any of you.
Oh, hi, Matty. It's good to see you.
You all right, Nick?
Right as rain.
What's the score, Nick?
My client here decided to become a killer, so I tackled him and the shots went wild.
What's this all about, Carter? Why are the cops?
It's about a murder. Matty?
Yeah?
Did you and the local police find that anchor?
We did, Nick. Under the bow of this ship. With young Bill Edwards' body tied to it.
There are your killers, Matty. Dutch Zimmern and Gus Jones.
Nice going, Nick. Take them away, boys.
You can't take me. This guy's crazy.
And if the bullets you guys pumped into young Bill Edwards before you dropped him over the side don't finish putting you in the hot seat, I'll turn in my badge. Let's go.
Well, Nick, another case history to type. Just as I had everything in the office cleaned up and ready for filing.
I'll give you something to do while I catch some fish.
Oh, you. Oh, you know, Nick, you haven't told me how you knew where to find Bill Edwards' body. I'll need the facts for the file.
Scopolamine, Patsy.
Huh?
Scopolamine. It's a truth serum. The kind of stuff the Germans used to get information out of their prisoners during the war.
I don't follow you.
You recall I had a date with Gus in a bar?
Yeah.
Well, scopolamine is a drug that makes a man unable to avoid telling the truth. I put some in the drinks I bought for him.
Oh.
Then I asked him about young Edwards. The minute he mentioned the anchor, I knew the answer. I called the local police. When they dragged the bottom under the bow of that ship, they found what they were after, unfortunately.
And you found more than you bargained for.
Yes, very true, Patsy. I realized that Reardon had a little private grudge to settle as soon as he recognized the name of Bill Edwards.
Uh-huh.
But murder, that's something more than we bargained for.
Well, now that that's settled, I suppose you're going back to Sandy Point.
Right, Patsy. Back to Sandy Point and some fishing. And this time I hope to catch nothing but fish.
Well, Nick, can you give us a hint or two on the adventure that Old Dutch Cleanser's going to bring us next week?
Certainly can, Bob. It started out with a dish of macaroni in a one-arm lunchroom.
A dish which contained more than macaroni, I might add.
And which led us into strange and devious paths. First we landed in an unused heating furnace.
Then a trash can on the corner.
Wait a minute, what were you looking for?
A small metal capsule that was worth a fortune.
And that turned into a miniature bomb at the end.
It certainly sounds unusual. What do you call the story, Nick?
I call it The Case of the Wandering Macaroni.
Nick Carter, Master Detective, is presented each week at this time and over these same stations by the Cudahy Packing Company, makers of Old Dutch Cleanser. Nick Carter, Master Detective, produced and directed by Jock McGregor, is copyrighted by Street and Smith Publications, Incorporated. Lon Clark is starred as Nick, with Charlotte Manson featured as Patsy. Matty is played by Ed Latimer. Today's script was written by Bryce Disk, Jr. Original music is played by George Wright. This program is fictional, and any resemblance to actual persons living or dead is purely coincidental. This is Bob Martin saying, when minutes count, use Old Dutch Cleanser. This is the Mutual Broadcasting System.
This, I believe. Lord Rochdale is a top British industrialist, politician, and soldier. In addition to heading his family's wool textiles firm of Kelsall and Kemp, he is vice president of the National Union of Manufacturers. During the Second World War, he served as a colonel in the British Army and was attached to the U.S. Navy and Marines in the Pacific Theater. This is what Lord Rochdale believes.
We live in momentous and curious times, and I am not infrequently tempted to ask myself, what is the purpose of it all? When I allow myself time for such speculation, I find that it is invariably to waste it. I find my thoughts going round and round, usually to return to the admission that in retrospect, so much of our modern human exertions seem no more than vanity and vexation of spirit, or in modern colloquialism, mere froth and bubble, and of no enduring importance and little significance. What then is important? I believe that the really important things of this life are usually the simplest: a happy, contented, and love-filled home, friendliness with all whom I come in contact in my daily work, a keen but kindly sense of humor, understanding and truth, and such like, even a happy memory. Certainly no one can steal that from me. I have in fact found that when these are absent, my ability to deal with the intricate business and other difficult problems that so constantly arise is correspondingly weakened. I have proved that if I allow myself to be fearful, worried, irritated, annoyed, or even sarcastic, which I find all too easy, it results in far more discomfort for myself than for anyone else. That is not to advocate what might be regarded as a soft, flabby, or indifferent attitude to life, nor is it in any way easy, but I am convinced that an approach to life along those lines gives me greater confidence, greater ability to discern essential points and see through difficult problems, greater determination to get things done and done quickly and effectively, greater understanding of other men's motives, greater endurance under trying conditions. Certainly that was true during my service in World War II. I have not always recognized this as clearly as I believe I do today, but I have proved over and over again that if I have a desire for something, this approach offers the most likely way to success. Of course, that doesn't mean to say that I always get what I want, but when I fail, defeat somehow seems more reasonable, more easily accepted, and the sooner forgotten. The conclusion that I come to is that the first essential is to be at peace with those around me. In no other way can I be at peace with myself. When I have got thus far, problems so often tend to fall into an easier perspective, such that in time the most persistent problems sometimes seem even to resolve themselves. For true happiness, however, there is something else required. A proper sense of my responsibilities to others, as opposed, of course, to an exaggerated sense of my own importance. I have, of course, a responsibility to my family and to my church, in my normal social intercourse, as well as in my business. But I also have a responsibility in my hometown, my country and state. In a democratic country, whenever I cast my vote, I contribute in a very real sense towards guiding the world's destiny. That is a sobering thought and a very real responsibility. If, therefore, I am ever tempted to complain that life is not as simple and placid as I am led to believe, it may have been in my father's and grandfather's times, I turn and ask myself if it is not rather a privilege, a matter for rejoicing, that God has given me for a priceless dower to live in these great times and have my part in freedom's crowning hour. I never find myself in any doubt as to the answer.
They're the creed of England's Lord Rochdale. He is known for his original and constructive ideas in the field of industrial development.
Now, screen actor Frank Lovejoy comes to the NBC microphone as reporter Randy Stone on Night Beat. But first, let me tell you about our other mystery features on NBC. Saturday night, Brian Donlevy brings you international intrigue as he accepts another dangerous assignment. Then on Sunday, Mike Waring as the Falcon becomes involved in a murder. Later, Martin Caine, Private Eye, featuring Lloyd Nolan, investigates a mysterious case concerning jewel smuggling. Yes, stay tuned to the NBC Radio Network. The NBC Radio Network is now entering its second quarter century as a great entertainment medium. And now from Hollywood, it's Night Beat on NBC. NBC presents transcribed Frank Lovejoy in Night Beat.
Hi, this is Randy Stone. I cover the night beat for the Chicago Star. And sooner or later, on any given night, you'll find me wandering across a neon-lighted wilderness on South State Street known as Skid Row, where all good dreams come home to die. That night, the moment I reached the street, I knew that something was decidedly different. Up ahead was Rescue Mission, a shabby little store with a crudely crayon sign offering salvation and vegetable soup to one and all. Tonight, Rescue Mission had a lineup of lost souls half a block long. I went over to see what the excitement was all about, but a bearded old gent in gym shoes and an army overcoat held together by safety pins barred my path.
Don't get rambunctious, buddy boy. Stand in line like a good soldier.
Yeah, well, I just want to get through.
Stand in line or I warn you, I'll wake up.
You'll what?
And you'll be gone.
Huh?
Kindly remember you're just an insignificant figment of my magnificent dream.
Oh.
That old wives' tale about pinching yourself, and if you feel pain, then you're awake.
Yeah?
There's nothing to it. Observe, figment of my imagination, I pinch myself. Ouch! The pain is fearful, and still I dream that the rescue mission on Skid Row is serving filet mignon.
Yeah, it was true. Some unknown benefactor had contributed $200 to the mission with specific instruction that the stakes must be at least 2 inches thick. It was like that all up and down Skid Row. The same source had seen to it that the A1 flop house had clean sheets and pillowcases for the first time in the memory of living man. And when I dropped into the corner tavern to see how things were going in the cold beer department, the bartender stuck a champagne cocktail under my nose.
Here you are, sport.
Hey, wait.
It's for free. Bon appetit.
Huh?
That's French. It means you should enjoy it.
Oh, swell. Santa Claus comes to Skid Row.
Look, Santa Claus wouldn't give you a 2-cent seltzer. It's that beat-up dame at the end of the bar.
Her?
Yeah, she must have rolled one of them visiting bankers from Iowa.
She was perched on a stool at the far end of the bar, next to the lighted jukebox and the empty phone booth and the stacks of beer cases. A bleached-out Tootsie with a gardenia in her hair. As I walked toward her, the shifting lights of the jukebox turned her face into a multicolored mask. First blue, then amber, then rose, and then blue again. And then I was beside her. And the illusion of a mask was even stronger. The black phony eyelashes fastened to the heavily powdered skin. The slash of red to signify the mouth. And out of the blue eyeshadow, her eyes moving restlessly. So you're the good fairy, huh?
Huh? Oh, yeah, I guess that's what I am, all right. 1 second, sing out.
Yeah, I'll do that. What's the celebration?
My birthday. That's the celebration.
Wow. Happy birthday. Many of them.
Many of them. You got quite a sense of humor, hon.
Hmm?
Good fairy. I like that. I waved my wand, and the bums ate steaks and drank champagne and slept on clean sheets, huh? Well, I got news for you. You can wave a jerky wand till you're blue in the face. It also takes dough. $800. I hocked everything but my red flannels, like they say.
I bet.
But I always dreamed of something like this.
A fantasy, huh?
Is that what they call it? I gotta remember that. That's a good word. But now, whenever the 10th of November comes around, all these bums are going to remember tonight and say, hey, this is Ruthie's birthday. I'll be famous for 2 whole blocks. Me and George Washington.
The 10th of November. This is the 9th.
Here's 2 bits. Will you put it in the jukebox and get something lively for a change?
Why didn't you wait for the 10th?
Because the truth of the matter is, if I waited for the 10th, there wouldn't be no celebration.
Why?
Will you go to that jukebox already and get some... Hey, what's that?
It's the phone booth over there.
Will somebody get the phone?
Well, I won't answer it. I won't.
Hey, what's with you?
I just won't answer it, that's all. You understand? It can ring all night, and I won't answer it. I just won't.
Ruthie, come back here. I looked back at the bar and saw that in her terror the dame had forgotten her purse. I opened it to see if I could find any identification. The card in her wallet said Ruth Martin and an address in St. Louis. I also found a hotel key with the name Royal Hotel, Chicago, Illinois, stamped on the leather holder. I also found a nice, neat .32 revolver, brand new, fully loaded, ready for business. They called this hotel the Royal for the same reasons they call a fat man Tiny. I parked myself in the cramped little lobby and waited. A little before 11, Ruth Martin entered the lobby, asked for a key at the desk, and rang for the automatic elevator. I went on over. Hi, Ruth.
Oh, it's you.
Yeah, me. Your purse.
Thanks. I went back to the bar and it was gone. I thought you turned out to be a common thief.
You'll find everything there. I didn't even steal a bullet from the gun.
Well, that's real considerate, and I thank you kindly. Oh, this elevator takes all night.
You're not registered under your right name.
I couldn't be bothered with the press and those awful autograph hounds. You know how it is.
You want to tell me how it is, Ruthie?
Here's my elevator. Thanks for every little thing, hon.
Look, I hate to keep repeating myself, but if you waited for the 10th of November for your birthday, why wouldn't there be any celebration?
What's to celebrate about a funeral? Good night.
I took the stairs behind the elevator. The second-floor hallway was a dark, narrow passage with a raw electric light casting a faint glow over the double rows of sealed doors. Ruth was already opening her door halfway down the hall. As I started toward her, she reached into the room and snapped on the lights.
No! No!
I ran the rest of the way. Her room was a dismal cubicle of curling wallpaper and cracked calcimine. She was at the mirror, frantically rubbing the glass with her hands, trying to erase a message scrawled in lipstick. Vivian will keep her promise.
I gotta get it off and erase it.
All over the room, the same scribbling in red lipstick, like the meaningless doodlings of a child.
How did she find me? How did she find me?
Oh, come on now, Ruth, stop it.
She was in here, in here,
Stop
in
it.
here.
Stop it. It's all right. It's okay. Now, come on. Now, that's better.
I only moved into this dump this morning. I didn't even unpack yet. I didn't tell anyone I was here. I used a phony name, and she still found me.
Vivian, that's her name?
Yeah.
Well, who is she?
Vivian Clark. We were kids together. Gee, kids are crazy. What they don't know about the world would fill a book. Little girls. You know, they got a lot of fancy notions about how life's going to be.
Yeah.
We were 9, 10 years old. Lived in a down at the heel neighborhood. A lot of rooming houses and little hotels. And there were these dames who was always getting drunk and fighting. What do I have to do? Draw you a picture?
No picture, Ruth.
And then one day some cops brought the wagon for one of these women. She was celebrating her 30th birthday in a big way. Shouting, cursing. I came and dragged her away. And she was ugly. So ugly. And I remember we stuck our fingers in our ears not to hear her screaming. And the way she looked, I said to Vivian, promise me if I ever turn out like that, for my 30th birthday, you'll kill me. Kids. The ideas they have. How corny can you get?
All right, Ruth. All right. Come on now.
Yeah. Gee, I'm sorry.
It's all right. And you think that Vivian...
I don't think. I know. You saw what she wrote on the mirror. Vivian will keep her promise.
Yes, but look at the walls, the scribbling. It's like a kid.
A kid? Yeah. Yeah, you hit the nail right on the head, hon. What do you think's got me half crazy? A kid, all right. Vivian Clark died when she was 11 years old.
That was a small statement that called for coffee, strong and black. So I took Ruth downstairs to a deserted little restaurant next to the hotel. And after a while, Ruth looked up from the coffee.
You think I'm nuts, huh?
Well, I haven't decided. Finish the coffee.
You saw her handwriting?
Yeah, but...
Don't you understand? I've talked to this kid. I've heard her voice.
Take it easy.
Sure. Just like that. Take it easy. Nothing to it. Look, sweetie pie, I'm so close to flipping my lid from these last 3 weeks.
Oh, that's when it started?
Yeah, 3 weeks. Oh, who was it? Wait a minute. It couldn't be 3 weeks. My head. Talk about a merry-go-round. There isn't an asylum in the county that wouldn't give me free room and board for life. 3 weeks. Yeah, I guess that's what it's been. I was out in the town with Jerry Myers.
Jerry Myers?
A little tin horn character in St. Louis. With the silk white muffler and the talcum powder on his face and pearl gray spats. Always good to his mother. Just the same, you want to hear something personal? Of all the guys I've ever known, I still got a warm spot for little Jerry. He's really got a good heart. You'd like him.
Uh-huh.
So, anyway, we were out on the town having a time. You ask anybody in St. Louis about Ruthie Martin. Live, laugh, and be merry. That's my own private philosophy.
That's a good philosophy.
Yeah. Until you come to that other part. Tomorrow we die.
Now, Ruth, knock off with that.
Oh, gee. I was never like this before.
You were telling me about 3 weeks ago.
Oh, yeah, that night, that first night. Boy, did I get stinking that night. Me and Jerry. Sweet little guy. It must have been 4 a.m. when I got back to my room, and I just flopped across my bed and passed out like I'd been hit with an atom bomb or something. Anyway, I don't know if an hour passed, or a minute, or even a second. But all of a sudden, I knew the phone was ringing. I didn't want to wake up, but it kept ringing, and I knew if I didn't answer, it'd ring all night. Yeah?
Hello, Ruthie. I called to tell you I'm going to keep my promise, like I said.
What promise?
You got a birthday in 3 weeks.
So?
You'll be 30 years old.
Hey, that's a lie, a rotten lie. I'm 26 and I can prove it with birth certificates and other papers. Who is this?
You know.
You sound like a kid.
Sure.
What's a kid calling in the middle of the night for? Who is this?
Don't you really recognize my voice? Vivian Clark.
I don't know any... What? Who did you say?
I just wanted to remind you of your birthday.
Hey, what kind of a gag is this? Vivian Clark is dead.
And to tell you I'll be seeing you like I promised. You remember my promise, Ruthie?
When I woke up the next morning, I thought it was all a dream. And by nighttime, I'd forgotten all about it. And then, just like before, right after I'd fallen asleep, the phone again.
This is Vivian.
Look, who's ever pulling this lousy gag, I think it stinks. And if you keep on doing it, I'm going to make plenty of trouble.
Vivian, then I promised.
Stop it, will you? Stop it! From then on, every night a call. After about 10 days of that, I couldn't take it anymore. So one night on the spur of the moment, I decided to clear out. Without saying anything to anybody, I packed a bag and grabbed the night train for Kansas City. I got in around 2 a.m. and just looking at a town where no one knew me or anything about me made me feel better. I found a nice hotel. I took a hot shower and had a little nightcap, and I really felt okay. Ready for the first good night's sleep in a long time. Snapped off the lights and I crawled into bed. And then I saw I was looking right at the phone on the nightstand. It gave me the jitters, you know. I reached for the phone to put it on the floor out of sight. But the minute I touched it... Well, I told myself it was just the manager wanting to know if the room was okay. Who else could it be? No one knew I was here. Just the same, my fingers really shook as I reached for the receiver. Yeah?
This is Vivian.
And that's how it's been ever since, Mr. Stone.
I see.
I bet I moved 15 times in the last 10 days, from KC to Duluth to Chicago.
And she still follows you.
And tomorrow, for a birthday present, she catches up with me. She catches up with me, Mr. Stone.
Look, Ruth, I know a fella. He's a nice, friendly guy. He happens to be a doctor.
Oh, I was waiting for that one. A real nice guy, complete with straitjacket and butterfly net, huh?
Oh, no.
Oh, it's all in my head. Sure thing.
I didn't say that.
But you saw yourself what she did to my room. If I'm nuts, so are you.
Yeah, that could be.
Well, I'm not going to any witch doctor, so let's move on to suggestion number 2.
Well, let's face it. It is possible that someone is behind this. That somehow or other you've been followed from place to place.
For Pete's sake, how? With mirrors?
I don't know. I'm just trying to help you.
Yeah, I'm sorry, hon.
Okay. You got a nickel?
Huh?
I'm going to call an old gal named Mrs. Ferguson who works the night shift on the rewrite desk down at the paper.
Why?
Well, you're going to have to borrow her apartment for the night.
I don't get it.
We'll go straight to the apartment from here. You won't go back to the hotel to check out or even pick up your suitcase. Now, I'll do it for you later. We'll even give the cabbie a phony address a few blocks away from the apartment. We'll walk the rest of the way. There won't be a chance for any other person in all the world to know where you are. And if Vivian Clark calls you there, well, baby, we're both going to this doctor.
Hey, this place is kind of cute.
Yeah.
You get so tired of hotel rooms. They're lonely.
Uh-huh.
Say, you think she's gotten the aspirin in the medicine cabinet? I got a headache to end all headaches. Boy, I'm really knocked out.
Well, why don't you take a hot bath and try to get some sleep? I'll go and get your suitcase.
I just hope the minute you're gone, the phone don't ring.
It won't ring, Ruthie. Double lock the door.
Hey.
Hmm?
Why are you doing all this?
Oh, well, I'm an overage Boy Scout.
No, I'm serious.
Well, I don't know. I guess maybe you've been hit on the head long enough. Maybe that's it.
Look, before you go, would you kiss me? Not hard, not ugly, just soft and sweet. For luck.
For luck, Ruthie. I went on back to the Royal Hotel for Ruthie's suitcase. Ruthie's door was unlocked just as we'd left it. I opened the door, went into the room, was searching for the light switch when I saw the cigarette glowing in the dark. I whirled around trying to reach the door.
Hold everything, you. I got a snub-nosed 38 and an awful temper.
So?
Where's the little lady?
Ruth or Vivian?
I'm a fellow who likes a straight answer, you. Where's Ruth Martin?
I'd much rather talk about Vivian. Are you behind it?
What have you done with Ruth Martin? Listen to me. I'm going to be very distinct and precise, you, like H.V. Callenmore or somebody. Once more, I'm going to ask you. Then I'll remain silent for a reasonable length of time. Then, if you have an answer to my satisfaction, I'll kill you. What have you done with Ruth Martin? Sport, take my word for it. I never been more serious in my life. Where is she? Where is she? Where's Ruth? Will you tell me, please? Please, mister.
Toss the snub-nosed 38 on the floor and we'll talk. I haven't harmed her. She's okay.
Where is she?
The gun.
No.
It's the only way.
All right.
Thanks.
Where is she? You sure she's okay? Why'd she run off like that?
Wait. Let's get some light on the subject. It's better. Oh, I'm sorry I got so much of my blood on your white silk muffler.
Oh, that's okay. I got half dozen more of it. Oh, you're being humorous.
Yeah, that's what I'm being, all right. Talcum powder, pearl gray spats, good heart. Mm-hmm. Well, I suppose love sometimes softens the picture, huh? Jerry Myers, huh?
Yeah, that's right. Hey, where's Ruthie? Who are you?
A reporter. She turned to me for help.
What's with that screwy Dave? What's the matter with that babe? She tilted or something?
What do you mean?
Well, I've been going loony trying to find her. Then tonight I finally traced her to this dive. I come here, she's gone. I wait, and you show up. I thought, well, you must have done something to the broad.
Oh, no, she's okay.
Love. What you said before, something about love.
Oh, did I?
What kind of routine is that, you? Ruthie don't love nothing but a good time, and the same for me, so don't make a motion picture of it. Hey, where is she, you?
You ever hear her mention a kid named Vivian Clark?
The name's totally unfamiliar.
Uh-huh. When I spotted you in this room, I started thinking maybe that there was a racket going on.
I don't follow you.
The only thing I don't get is this scribbling on the wall.
Oh, yeah. Hey, what about that stuff? Looks like a...
I'll get it. Yeah.
This is Vivian.
What?
Hey, what's the matter, you?
I know where Ruth is. I'm going to see her now. It's her birthday, and I promised I would.
Hello. Hello.
Hey, what is it? Tell me.
Come on, quick.
Hurry, will you?
Yeah. Ruthie! Ruthie!
I'm back here in the bedroom, Mr. Stone.
The bedroom?
Don't let it trouble you. Come on.
What is it? Is something wrong?
Jerry! Hey, Bagelhead, where you been? I spent maybe $200 digging you up.
You scram into the other room. I don't like you to see me like this. Let me put myself together.
Well, you look okay.
I look like something left over from the flood. Now, go on, get out of here. Where's the suitcase, Mr. Stone? I got all my makeup.
Ruth, anybody call here?
Well, if you mean that certain party, no. I got a hunch I really lost her this time.
Nobody ring the bell? Anything like that?
Well, maybe you fell asleep, didn't hear.
I couldn't fall asleep. I couldn't find the aspirins. Oh, I got a headache. Shouldn't happen to two dogs. One couldn't stand it.
Same old Ruthie.
Yeah. Big deal.
Are you sure about no calls?
Hey, what's all the questions and answers about, huh? Come on, tell me.
Nothing.
But the way you... Boy, my head. I almost passed out from the pain. Look, Jerry, would you be a doll and run down to the drugstore for some aspirin?
What do you think, Mr. Stone?
Yeah, go ahead. Be sure and lock the door on your way out.
Why? Hey, what's going on?
I'll be right back, and you try to relax, Ruthie.
A heart of gold he's got.
Yeah. Now, look, Ruthie, I want you to really think. Is there any reason why someone would want to trick you with this Vivian Clark routine?
Why? What reason would they have for... What's that?
The mantel clock.
Oh, it's 12 o'clock. That makes it the 10th of November.
Happy birthday.
She said she'd be here on my birthday.
Well, don't worry about that.
Jerky little kids. Thinking the world's all pure and noble. When you're 10 years old, you're really a square. When does that clock stop?
Pretty soon.
I feel shaky and cold. Feel my hands. They're like this.
Oh, you're all right.
My head is throbbing so. Throbbing.
I'll get you a cold towel. Make you feel better.
I went to the funeral. Saw him put her in the ground. In her nicest white gingham dress, I saw him bury her.
Now, you try to relax. I'll get the towel. I'll be right back.
Happy birthday, Ruthie.
My hand turned to ice on the doorknob. I felt something cold flop over in my stomach and lie still.
I told you I'd be here.
I started turning around to look back into the room, and it was torture, agony. Because I knew there wouldn't be anybody in the room but Ruthie.
All these years I waited to keep my promise. And now I have.
It was like suddenly being catapulted into the middle of a nightmare. Her eyes were misted over. Her face was bloodless. Her lips moved, but the voice of a child came out.
It's in the purse, Ruthie. In the purse.
And now, like a sleepwalker, Ruth was crossing the room for her purse on the dresser. And now her hand dipped into the purse and came out with a gun. Put the gun down.
Hurry, Ruth. Don't let him stop
Give me the gun.
You let me alone. You let me alone. I promised you.
The gun.
I promised. What was that?
Ruthie, you,
What happened? What are you doing with my gun?
It went off by mistake. Look what it did to Mrs. Ferguson's mirror.
It woke me up.
Yeah.
I feel funny. Weak. So tired.
Well, you lie down again and...
Don't laugh at me, but... I feel like having a good old-fashioned cry. And I don't know why.
Hey, what happened? I heard a shot. Ruthie. Hey, what is it, you? Hey, come on, don't cry. Come on, baby. Hey, don't cry, you.
Oh, let her cry, Jerry. Poor kid, she's got it coming. It would be nice to say that that was the end of the story and that Ruthie and her Prince Charming went back to St. Louis, and lived happily ever after. Unfortunately, Grimm's fairy tales are, well, they're a lot different than grim life. But at least now Ruthie's got a chance. That doc that she was so afraid of, the one who wouldn't know a butterfly net from a burlap bag, he's helping her. And Jerry of the silk mufflers and the good heart is helping her, too. And with luck and time, Ruthie will come to understand why the Vivian of her childhood came back to haunt her. No, we can never be as good and pure as we're determined to be at 10. But neither are we so hopeless and lost as we sometimes think we are at 30. I don't know. If life was nothing but a fairy tale, it might be pretty boring. Just think of nothing to look forward to, but to live happily ever and ever and ever after. Copy, boy.
Night Beat, starring Frank Lovejoy, is produced and directed by Warren Lewis. Tonight's transcribed story was written by Larry Marcus with music by Robert Armbruster. The part of Ruth and Vivian was played by Joan Banks. Others featured were Tudor Owen, Lou Krugman, and Jeff Corey. Don Rickles speaking. Listen next week at this time and every week as Randy Stone searches through the city for the strange stories waiting for him in the darkness. Night Beat came to you from Hollywood. It's the Silver Jubilee on NBC. Saturday morning, enjoy another great half-hour program on the Somerset Maugham Radio Theater. This Saturday morning, the magic curtain of radio drama rises on the radio production of Maugham's famous short story, A String of Beads. The Somerset Maugham Radio Theater will feature actress Geraldine Fitzgerald. Hear the Somerset Maugham Radio Theater this Saturday morning, and keep tuned to NBC, now entering its second quarter century as a great entertainment medium. This is NBC, the national broadcasting company.
This, I believe. Walter Thomas Layton was, until the First World War, a lecturer in economics at Cambridge and at London University. He served on Britain's Munitions Board and, after the war, was for 16 years editor of The Economist, the distinguished London weekly. Until 3 years ago, he was chairman of the News Chronicle, a liberal daily. During World War II, he was chief economic planner in the Ministry of Production and then head of the Joint War Production Staff. In recognition of his services, he was created a peer in 1947. As member of the board of the London Daily News, he continues his influence in British journalism. He is now increasingly absorbed in the Council of Europe as Vice President of the Consultative Assembly. Here now is Lord Layton.
I grew up in a world in which it was widely held that science and religion could not be reconciled. That phase has passed. In the last half-century, we have greatly increased our knowledge of the nature of the universe, from something less than the minutest cell or particle that can be perceived by the microscope to the immensities of the firmament, reaching out into distances that can only be measured in millions of light years. There is nothing accidental about all this, for throughout that tremendous range of phenomena, the universe conforms to laws that govern its motions and its existence. Moreover, in this universe there is also life, a mystery which we cannot explain, and the human mind, perhaps the greatest miracle of all. The scale and sweep of the laws of the universe, the mystery of life, and the ability of the human mind to grasp, to analyze, and in some measure to control, reveal the working of an underlying principle or purpose. The deeper we probe into the physical universe, the more surely it brings us back to the concept which most of the world calls God. For me, as for many others, the revelations of recent scientific discovery strengthened my belief in the spiritual world. Though that is a sphere which cannot be weighed in our balances or checked by our measuring rods, there are some things in it of which we may be sure. Few would deny, for example, that deep in the soul of every human being there is an innate sense of the difference between good and evil. I believe also that man is free to choose between right and wrong, and is not merely the puppet of his environment. The knowledge of good and evil, and this freedom to choose, are in fact what distinguishes him from the beasts. This is the divine spark, and because of it, we must honor and respect the individual integrity of every human being. As man is a social animal, it should be the major aim and purpose of our human institutions to help every man to make the best of his qualities and powers. In this sense, and in spite of its many shortcomings, democracy is for me the political application of my belief in God. I can think of no blacker sin than that men should dare to distort and mutilate the minds of their fellow men and bend them to their will by every device of modern science. Such evils are a challenge to this generation, and it may be that we shall answer it by transformations in our social institutions and in our international relations as great as those that have been made in the scientific world. We have the means, if we have the will, to ensure to every man those basic human rights and freedoms that are the foundation of the good life. It is in the crusade to achieve this that I believe this generation will find its spiritual outlet.
That was Lord Layton, British economist, newspaperman, and European statesman, who has found that progress in scientific discovery has strengthened his belief in the spiritual world.
Listen while the makers of Rexall drug products and 10,000 independent Rexall family druggists bring you Dick Powell as Richard Diamond, private detective.
Good evening. This is your Rexall family druggist speaking to you for the 10,000 independent druggists who have made the word Rexall part of our own store names. We've done that because we recommend and sell the 2,000 or more drug products made by the Rexall Drug Company. Like Plenamins, for example, Rexall's famous multivitamin capsules. 2 Plenamins a day give you more than your daily minimum requirement of every vitamin for which such requirements have been established, plus valuable liver concentrate and iron. What's more, Plenamins cost you only pennies per day. Ask for Plenamins at Rexall drugstores everywhere. And remember, you can depend on any drug product that bears the name Rexall.
Good health to all from Rexall. Now your Rexall family druggist brings you a transcribed half hour with Richard Diamond, Private Detective, starring Dick Powell.
Diamond Detective Agency. We trail them, we nail them. If they're guilty, we jail them. No charge for poetry.
Oh, no. Edgar guessed with the shoulder holster.
Hello, Helen, baby.
Rick, guess what's in town?
Unless I win something, I give up.
The carnival.
Well, is the balloon concession tied up yet?
Oh, Rick, I'm serious. I haven't been to a carnival since I was little. Let's go tonight.
You mean peanuts, popcorn, Cracker Jacks, and all that?
Yes.
Sounds awful.
Oh, now, Rick.
Okay, honey. I'll be around at 8. Shall I wear my knickers?
Rick.
Bye. That night, I picked up Helen and we went to the carnival. There were more people on the Midway than Rexall has stores, and we got pushed so much I felt like the tax bill in Congress. Helen decided she wanted a Cupid doll, so we stopped at the shooting gallery.
That's pretty good shooting.
Think nothing of it.
Just 3 more bullseyes and you win a doll. Well, here's your doll. Where'd you ever learn to shoot like that?
At the skeet club. Would you like to try a shot, Rick?
No thanks. Come on.
Oh, Rick, isn't this doll cute?
And now, for your amazement and proof of my statement, I'll ask him to step out here. And here he is, ladies and gentlemen, the one and only Samson, the strong man. Step right up, folks. He'll thrill you with his amazing feats of strength. Now, crowd right in. Don't be shy. There is no...
Standing on the platform with the biggest collection of muscles I'd ever seen. Samson looks like an overgrown orangutan. And at least 3 tigers had contributed their all to the loincloth he wore around his middle.
Samson, the great. And now, our sensational offer. $100 to any man who will step up here and defy the mighty Samson to put him to sleep by squeezing his chest. Now, it is harmless, my friends, and if any one of you daring gentlemen think the mighty one cannot put you to sleep with a mere squeeze, then step right up. If Samson fails, then $100 is yours.
Well, Rick.
Now, I tell you, friends...
Well, Rick, what?
Don't you want to show off?
Not my insides.
Rick, you mean you're afraid just to let him squeeze you?
Honey, I'm afraid to let him breathe on me. Come on, let's go see that fortune teller. I steered Helen toward the next booth before she could talk me into anything my bones would regret tomorrow. The sign outside the tent read, Madame Tanya, your past, your present, your future. And inside we found Madame T staring intently into a crystal ball. She wore gypsy clothes and a heavy makeup that covered what might have been very lovely features.
Welcome to the inner sanctum.
Haven't I heard you on the radio? She didn't crack a smile, and I didn't exactly blame her. She motioned us into chairs around the crystal. The room was decorated in about the same motif as the tattooed lady, and would have impressed a man with a bad case of DTs. Madame Tanya went back to staring at the crystal, so I followed suit. I couldn't see a thing in the glass ball, and maybe she picked up television on clear night.
The crystal grows dim. I can see that you are both very much in love.
Well, go on.
It is good. This man adores you. He worships you. He idolizes you.
Wake me up when I propose.
You are an unbeliever?
Oh, let's be modern. I'm a cynic.
The crystal does not lie. But to make certain, I will consult the cards.
She picked up a deck that was too big for poker and too small for canasta. I should pay to watch a girl play solitaire? I nudged Helen. We were about to leave when a tall, thin young man pushed back the canvas flap and walked in.
Hey, Tony, I didn't know you were busy. Excuse me.
The boy pushed back the flap to go out and then made a sharp, gurgling noise in his throat. He doubled with pain and fell to the floor. Even from where I was sitting, I could see the big, ugly bullet hole in his chest. Don't scream. We'll have the whole crowd in here. Stand back, Helen.
Is he hurt bad?
You don't need a crystal ball for this, honey. He's dead. Even under the heavy makeup, I could see her face turn pale. I sent Helen to call the police, and then I looked around outside. The killer had either used a silencer or else the shot was not heard in the confusion. 20 minutes later, Lieutenant Max Talbot arrived, followed by Sergeant Otis wearing his Hopalong Cassidy badge.
Hi, Rick.
Well, hello, Max. Where's Walt Levinson?
He's on vacation, Rick. I've taken over his cases.
Also his problems, I see. Hello, Otis.
Hi, Shamus. So there's been another murder, huh? And you just happened to be here. Sounds suspicious to me.
Otis, why don't you stick your head through a piece of canvas and let people throw baseballs at it?
And get my brains knocked out? Oh, no.
Why not? You got nothing to lose.
Rick, Miss Asher told me over the phone what happened. It sounds like we'll be looking for a needle in a haystack. You want to work on the case with us?
Not particularly. I just happen to be here, that's all.
Yeah. I still think that's awful funny.
Otis, I'll send you my confession in the morning. So long, Max. It's not that I wasn't interested in the case. I was. But in my business, you can't poke your head into murder on a gratis basis. So I took Helen home. The next morning, I went to my office as usual, and then around 10 o'clock, I had a visitor.
Mr. Diamond, I need your help.
Well, thank my lucky stars. Sit down.
Thank you.
She looked like a well-dressed Lady Godiva, minus horse. I stifled a drool as she sat down, and then I realized that I'd seen her before. This was Madame Tanya, minus the heavy makeup, gypsy garb, and the phony accent.
It's about last night's murder. You see, it's not the first. 4 men have been killed within a year. And all because of me.
Go on.
My real name is Tony Lawrence. About a year ago, a boy I knew asked me for a date, and we went out. Next day, he was killed. There were 2 more after that who showed an interest in me. They both died, too. It's getting so every time a man looks at me twice, he's murdered.
Well, it's a pleasant way to die. But what about this kid last night?
Well, he'd asked me for a date at a small party we had after the show one night. He worked in the show, but I hardly even knew him.
I see. Did you tell Lieutenant Talbot all this?
Oh, yes. He says he'll have to make a systematic check on everyone on the show. That could take months.
Yes, it could. Talbot's a good cop, though. Why'd you come to me?
I want you to go back to the lot with me. I'll arrange to get you a job there.
Honey, I got a job. I'm a private detective.
Oh, I know. I'll pay you what you ask.
Oh, well, that understanding will just continue.
Well, maybe working undercover, you'll be able to find out who's behind all this.
Well,
Oh, I'm sure it'll work. I'll get you a job as Barker for the girl show.
You know, I've always wanted to run away with the girl show. We drove back to the carnival, and I became Rick Diamond, boy Spieler. The kid who was murdered last night had asked Tony for a date at a small party. There were only 3 other people at that party, and it seemed logical that one of them was the killer. First on the party list was Chuckles, the clown. Tony took me over to his trailer.
Here we are. I think you'll like Chuckles. He's got a great sense of humor.
Well, Tony, come on in.
Can't stay long, Chuckles. I want you to meet Rick Diamond. He's the new Barker on the girls' show, and the boss wants me to introduce him to everyone.
Well, any friend of Tony's is a friend of mine. Glad to know you, Rick.
How are you, Chuckles?
Yeah, oh, just fine. So you got the job at the Shakers, huh? You ever barked before?
Only at pet shows.
Oh, well, you'll do a good business over there. All the old fogies go to see Karen. She's the head shaker.
Is that all she shakes?
Hey, that's pretty good. Put some gags in your pitch. The crowd eats it up.
We better go, Rick. You start to work soon.
Yeah, well, drop around any time, huh?
Number 2 on the suspect list was Samson, the strong man. I remembered him from last night and took a last look at my fingers as we shook hands.
Glad to meet you. Do you wrestle?
No, but I'm a demon with jacks.
Oh, I can't find no one around here to play with.
Oh, you poor kid. Have you tried the lion cake?
Rick's going to pitch the girl show, Samson.
Boy, that's no fun.
Hey, look, kid, you work out with me, and someday you can be a strong man, too.
Well, that's a tempting offer, but I'm afraid I'm just a natural-born sissy.
Well, if you change your mind, come around and...
And you'll change my posture, I know. Glad to have met you, Sampson.
So long.
Playful little character.
He's really very nice. Hey, let's stop here for a hot dog.
Good. My favorite meal.
Give the man a cooked one, Maisie.
Sure thing, Tony.
Loaded with onions, honey. No date tonight. Aren't you hungry, Tony?
I've got to change for my act soon.
Tell me, how did a pretty girl like you get tied down to a crystal ball?
Oh, I don't know. I grew up on shows. Mom and Dad were wire walkers. Well, I don't like high places, so I decided to be an actress.
Mm-hmm.
Well, after a few feeble stage attempts, I came back here.
Now you do your acting in a tent.
That's right. If these murders aren't solved soon, I'll be on the move again.
Those two characters we just met, you think one of them might be the killer?
Gee, I don't know. They've always been friendly with me, but... Well, they did overhear that boy ask me for the date. Karen was there, too.
Oh, yes. The shaker, as Chuckles put it.
You'll probably meet her later on. She's always quick to discover a new man.
Well, I can hardly wait.
Say, I'd better get back. I'll see you after the show tonight.
You are, mister. It's got enough onions to keep you out of circulation for a week.
Tony walked away, stopped, turned, and gave me a smile that made me feel warmer than the hot dog I began munching. She was a very pretty girl. Pretty enough for someone to kill any man she got interested in. And that someone was either a clown, a strong man, or a hula dancer. Yeah, it was quite a mess, and here I was in the middle of it. But as P.T. Barnum always said, there's a sucker born every minute.
Before we continue with the adventures of Richard Diamond, private detective, here's your Rexall family druggist.
Whenever you develop a simple headache, what's the first thing you think of for fast relief?
Why, aspirin, of course.
Right. But it's also smart to think one step further and choose Rexall aspirin.
Give me 3 good reasons why.
Okay. First, every Rexall aspirin tablet contains 5 full grains of pure aspirin. Second, there is no faster-acting aspirin made.
What do you mean by that?
I mean that when taken with water, a Rexall aspirin tablet is ready to go to work for you even before it reaches your stomach.
Sounds swell so far. What's the third reason?
Just this. In the economy size 200-tablet bottle, Rexall aspirin costs you little more than 0.3 of a cent per tablet.
That I'll remember.
And remember this also. You can depend on any drug product that bears the name Rexall.
And now back to tonight's adventure with Richard Diamond, private detective, starring Dick Powell.
Hurry, hurry, hurry. Step right up and see Karen and her friend. Come on, boys, don't be bashful. Put your wives on the Ferris wheel, go on in. Get away from me, son, you bother me. Only 1/10 of a dollar plus 15 cents and you're all set. You'll see Karen, the blonde bombshell.
That night, I yelled my head off. The crowd was heavy, and the men poured into the tent until there was panting room only. I looked at my watch and saw that I had 4 more hours to go. So I warmed my tonsils and kept right at it.
My mistake, mister. Go on in.
4 hours later, I felt like a politician and had a voice like Andy Devine. Tony met me after the crowds had left, and we had a Coke.
Tired?
Tired? Me? Oh, no. 37 hours sleep and I'll be as good as new.
You'll get used to it.
Oh, do I have to? I thought the girl show would be great, but they're inside. I'm outside.
Well, you'll meet Karen soon.
That's some consolation. No, I'm saying, while I think of it, maybe we'd better not be seen together so much. I got a great affection for life.
Yeah, I thought of that. You'd better go on from here alone. But, Ricky, be careful.
I gave her my for you I will look, and then she left. I had been assigned a bunk in one of the trailers and was about to head toward it when something grabbed my arm. At first, I thought one of the snakes had left the charmer's neck. But this one had long blonde hair.
Hi. My name's Karen. You got a match?
I'd heard the match line in a movie, but what this gal carried around could never pass the censor board. I'd been singing her praises all evening, and now I could see that I'd been guilty of understatement.
Thanks.
Oh, that's all right. I'm loaded with them.
Hey, you're cute. The last guy had a lousy voice, but you're cute. What's your name?
Diamond. You can call me Rick.
You want to buy me a Coke?
Sure.
Well, never mind. I just wanted to see if you wanted to.
Well, any more party games up your sleeve?
Oh, sure, lots more. I've seen you with Tony. You like her?
Well, shouldn't I?
I don't know. Only the way things have been happening, it ain't so healthy.
Yeah, so I heard. You like her?
She's all right. Burns me, though. She makes more dough than I do, and she's strictly no talent. She just makes up them stories. Now, me, I give the boys the money's worth.
Well, I'll bet you do.
You know, I bet we get along real swell, you and me.
Well, I hope we do.
You know, there's nothing but jerks around here. You look sort of like a gentleman.
Sorry, I'm just tired.
Oh, I like it. You want to take me into town and go dancing?
Well, I'm all worn out tonight.
Oh, I don't really want to go. Just want to know if you'd like to take me.
Oh, we're back at that. Yes, I would like to take you.
Good. Oh, gee, it's a nice night for a walk. Would you like to...
Let's not go round again.
Say, you're awful cute. Good night.
That night, I went to bed with a lot on my mind and an ice pack around my neck. I was after a murderer who left no clues. The only apparent motive was to keep men away from Tony. Chuckles or Sampson? Maybe they were in love with Tony. On the other hand, Karen might be jealous enough of Tony to commit murder. I didn't count sheep that night, just characters. Next morning, while I was roaming around the carnival grounds, I found Chuckles sitting on the steps of his trailer sewing a bright-colored costume.
Well. Hi there. Sit down.
Thanks. Hey, you're pretty handy with that needle.
Oh, you gotta be. How did it go last night?
Well, I'm a little better, but I'm in no condition for a cigarette test.
I'm glad I don't have to yell my lungs out every night. I just stand around and let people laugh at me.
I have a friend named Otis who does the very same thing.
Say, you should have been around yesterday if you like excitement. Guy was murdered.
Oh? What happened?
Somebody shot him. Seems like the only reason was because he liked Tony.
You mean the girl who showed me around yesterday?
Yeah, that's her.
Ah, I guess not many guys give her the eye.
No. There's one fellow that kind of likes her, though. A guy by the name of Leonardi.
Oh?
Yeah, he don't work here no more. He's on another show. Tony and him write a lot, though. I'm always mailing letters for him.
Well, maybe they're just friends.
Yeah, that's what she says. He worked on this show before I came over here. I don't really know him, but I bet there's something between those two.
Maybe he's the one behind all this.
Could be. Well, it's not good to poke your nose into other people's business.
You're telling me. Well, I guess I'll look over the show.
Yeah, well, drop around any time.
I left Chuckles and wandered on up the Midway. About half past the merry-go-round, I ran into Karen, the curve cram kid.
Hi, handsome.
Hi, yourself.
You know, I dreamed about you last night.
You do wonders for my ego.
You do wonders for my dreams. Care if I walk along with you?
Not at all. Karen, do you know a guy named Leonardi?
Oh, sure. Used to work here. Why do you ask?
Well, I've heard he might be interested in Tony. That's risky business, you know.
Tony and Leonardi? Oh, no. Now, somebody's pulling your leg.
Oh,
Why,
Rick, I've been looking... Oh, I didn't know you had company. Hello, Karen.
Hi.
I just thought I'd see if you were getting along all right, Rick.
He's in good hands.
That's all a matter of opinion, dear.
Look, why don't you girls amuse yourselves while I make a phone call? Karen, you do the shimmy while Tony tells your fortune. I'll be right back. Both girls were exchanging icy stares as I pulled up my coat collar and walked away. So far, I'd accomplished nothing, and the case was still as mixed up as a chef's salad. I called Max to see if he'd uncovered anything on the latest murder.
Homicide, Lieutenant Talbot speaking.
Max, this is Rick. How you coming on that circus murder?
Oh, Rick, what a headache. Gets screwier every minute.
Yeah, I know. The fortune teller hired me.
Oh, well, then you know almost as much as I do. There's one new development, though.
Well, don't be greedy, Grandpa. Shoot.
That's what someone else did last night. Had a guy by the name of Leonardi.
Leonardi. The guy Chuckles told me about. The one who liked Tony. Max filled in with the details. The killer had written a letter to Leonardi and told him to come to a hotel room in the city because Tony was sick and had been asking for him. Then the killer rigged up a gun trap so that when Leonardi opened the door, the gun would go off and kill him. Only Leonardi was still alive. The killer had made one mistake. I thanked Max and went back to Tony's tent, certain I could use that mistake to my advantage.
Hello, Rick.
Hey, where did little Miss Wigglehips go?
I don't think she liked your leaving her. She went back to her trailer.
Good. Now, Tony, you told me that only 3 people were present at the party when Bruce asked you for the date. Are you certain of that?
Why, yes. Just Samson, Chuckles, and Karen. They dropped in after the show, and we had coffee.
Well, I want you to invite our 3 friends over again after the show tonight. Will you do that?
Well, yes, but I don't understand.
I went back to the girls' show and began my afternoon pitch. That evening, I went through it again, and then around midnight, I went to the party in Tony's tent. They were all 3 there when I entered.
Sit over here, honey.
Thanks, Karen.
Hi, weakling.
Oh, please, Samson, I'm sensitive.
Say, you should have seen the matinee today. We did a bang-up routine and the crowd ate it up. We did the old one where we all pile into a car. You know...
They were all relaxed, and I decided it was time to try my long shot. Chuckles was just finishing his story as I took a deep breath and crossed my fingers.
Back, and then we all pile out of this little car. Oldest trick in the book, but they loved it.
Chuckles, remember that guy you told me about the other day? I think his name was Leonardi.
Sure, what about him?
Oh, nothing. I was just curious. Did you know him, Samson?
Know him? Why, Leo and I used to room together where we worked here. Him and me is the best of buddies.
And you, Karen, you said earlier that you knew him, right?
Yeah, but I didn't think he was so great. He was nothing but a pest.
Hey, you can't talk that way about my buddy.
Oh, Samson, please. This is a party.
Yeah, take it easy, Muscles. Now, let's see. You both knew Leonardi. That lets you out and leaves only Chuckles. You said earlier that you joined the show after Leonardi left, didn't you, Chuckles?
Yeah. Say, why all these questions about Leonardi?
Because you tried to kill him last night. You thought there was something between Tony and him.
What's this?
It's a joke, that's all.
Yes, Clown, but the joke's on you. You're the only one who didn't know Leonardi. The only one who would rig up a gun trap the way you did.
What are you getting at?
When Leonardi opened the door, the bullet went over his head.
Oh, well, over his head?
That's right. You rigged the trap to shoot a normal-sized man. You're the only one here who didn't know Leonardi, didn't know he was a midget.
Well, you're kidding. He's a midget.
That's right. Still feel like laughing?
It's on me. The joke's on me.
You tried to kill my little pal?
And there wasn't anything between Tony and him, huh? Just friends, like she said. Oh, what a laugh, a midget.
Why, you dirty...
Take it easy, Samson.
Leo's my pal. I'll kill this bum when he wakes up.
Never mind, friend. That's the job for the state. And so, dear Helen, my life at the carnival ended, and I have come back to you. Beaten, perhaps, but ready to continue my valiant fight against the forces of evil. Justice must prevail. Truth must march ahead to...
Oh, Rick.
Quiet, I'm auditioning for Portia Face's life.
Rick. Was that Karen person pretty?
Mm-hmm.
What kind of a dance did she do?
Well, she started by, and then she... Well...
Oh. One of those.
Mm-hmm. Only more so.
Well, I hope you enjoyed yourself.
Helen, you're so thoughtful.
Rick.
Yes, baby?
I wonder how I'd be doing that.
Doing what? Helen, please. This is more your type. Sweet, lovely, sweeter than the roses in May. Sweet and lovely, heaven must have sent her my way. Skies above me never were as blue as her eyes, and she
loves me. Who would want a sweeter surprise? When she nestles in my arms so tenderly, there's a thrill that words cannot express. In my heart a song of love is taunting me, melody haunting me, sweet and lovely, sweeter than the roses in May. And she loves me, there is nothing more I can say.
So that's my type, is it? Come here.
Wow.
Well?
Oh, I guess a man's entitled to change his tune.
Again, here's your Rexall family druggist.
Tonight, I'd like to say a special word to users of mineral oil. I know that what you search for is one with an extra heavy body. Well, Rexall mineral oil is refined by a special process to obtain just that. And because it's so exceptionally pure and bland, Rexall mineral oil is non-irritating and non-habit-forming. What's more, it's tasteless, odorless, colorless. Next time, try Rexall mineral oil. And remember, you can depend on any drug product that bears the name Rexall.
Good health to all from Rexall. Richard Diamond, Private Detective, stars Dick Powell in the title role and is written by Richard Carr, with music composed and conducted by Frank Worth. Featured in tonight's cast were Virginia Gregg, Bill Johnstone, Wilms Herbert, Lucille Meredith, Parley Bear, Joe Duval, and Joe Gilbert. Richard Diamond, Private Detective, is transcribed in Hollywood by Jaime Del Valle. This is Bill Foreman, inviting you to be with us next Wednesday at this time, when we will again bring you Dick Powell as Richard Diamond, Private Detective.
Hiya, beautiful.
Get lost, Bristlepuss. You need a shave.
But I have shaved. What else do you want me to do?
Silly boy, she wants you to go Stag.
Go Stag? But why?
Because Stag is Rexall's exclusive line of men's good grooming aids, like Stag Brushless Shave Cream. No fuss, no massage, just smooth it on, and presto, you get a clean, close shave. Your face stays smooth and whiskerless all day long.
I'll do it. I'll go Stag.
That's it. Join the Stag line now at Rexall drugstores everywhere.
Yes, to make girls care. Go Stag.
Wednesdays this fall, hear Groucho, Gildy, and the Halls of Ivy on NBC.
This I believe. Beliefs, like houses, must be built on firm foundations if they are to weather the strong, cold winds of adversity. Lou R. Crandall is president of the George A. Fuller Construction Company, whose buildings in nearly every large city in the United States are monuments to his ability as an engineer. That he has also built strong beliefs, Mr. Crandall now demonstrates.
As I try to outline my thoughts, the subject becomes more and more difficult. I have many basic beliefs, but as I try to pick and choose, it seems to me that they can all be summarized in the word character. Obviously, what you believe is a fundamental thing. There can be no fanfare, no embellishments. It must be honest. An architect once told me that the most difficult structural design was a simple monumental shaft. The proportions must be perfect to be pleasing. The hardest thing to build is a plain, straight wall. the dimensions must be absolute. In either case, there is no ornamentation to hide irregularities, no moldings to cover hidden defects, and no supports to strengthen concealed weaknesses. I'm using this example to illustrate human character, which to me is the most important single power in the world today. The young people of today are in reality foundations of structures yet to be built. It is obvious that the design of these human structures is the combined efforts of many human architects. Boys and girls are influenced first by their parents, then by their friends, and finally by their business associates. During this period of construction, the human character is revised and changed until at maturity a fairly well-fixed form of character is found. There are few human straight walls and fewer human monumental shafts. Such men and women are personalities of great beauty and are so rare that history records their being and holds them up as examples for the future. The biblical characters are for me the closest examples of human perfection. They were unselfish, steadfast in their faith, and unstinted in their hope to others. Today, in this world of turmoil and trouble, we could use more of such people, but they do not just happen along. I believe that they are the result of concentrated effort on the part of the parents and associates, and the more we build with character, the better this world will become. This may sound like a dreamer's hope and a theoretical goal, which can never be reached. I do not think so. The world as a whole has progressed tremendously material-wise, and we're a fortunate nation in that we are leading the procession. It is, I believe, natural that nations not so fortunate should look upon us with envy. We would do the same if the positions were reversed, so we should not judge too harshly the efforts of others to equal our standard of living. In either case, the fortunate and the unfortunate character in the individual and collectively in the nation stands out. I agree that it is easier to build character under ideal conditions, but not forget that character is also required to give as well as to receive. It should be to the benefit of humanity if all individuals, and this includes myself, did a renovating or a remodeling job on our own character. It may merely be a case of removing such rough edges or tossing away moldings to expose irregularities, in some cases to remove a prop and stand on one's own feet. In any event, if some of us set the examples, others will follow, and the results should be good. This I believe.
You have heard Lou R. Crandall, native of Ohio, resident of New York, veteran of the First World War, and a man whose services for the Red Cross, the New York Cancer Association, and other welfare organizations proves that his beliefs are built for use, not just for show.
Mr. District Attorney, champion of the people, defender of truth, guardian of our fundamental rights to life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness.
And it shall be my duty as District Attorney now to prosecute to the limit of the law all persons accused of crimes perpetrated within this county, but to defend with equal vigor the rights and privileges of all its citizens.
The case of free play.
Well, I must say the kindergarten looks wonderful, Aunt Martha. Isn't it delightful, Deborah?
Frightened him.
Huh? Oh, yes, of course, yes, we.
You neglected your old Aunt Ted. I haven't seen you in ages.
Well, we've been busy, Aunt Martha.
You and Miss Hawkins, is it?
Hawkins. I have thought of you, Aunt Martha. Haven't I, Deborah? Every time someone mentions Miss Mulberry's nursery school, I feel a little glow of pride. Being a Mulberry, too, I mean.
What time are the kids out of here? I beg pardon, Miss Hawkins? This building, what time do the kids get out of it? Why, school closes at 3, Miss Hawkins. We only take little tots, you know. Oh, my, I think the water's boiling for tea. Will you excuse me?
Oh, can I help?
No, you sit still. I won't be a minute. Look, bird brain, will you get to the point with the old fool?
Now, Deborah, you promised I could handle it. After all, she is my aunt. I know how.
Why don't you just give it to her straight? Tell her we've been peddling the stuff and it got hot.
Oh, in heaven's name, Deborah, have you lost your mind? Aunt Martha wouldn't know what marijuana is. Say nothing of narcotics.
Okay, have it your way. I mean, this setup is perfect.
You said the last one was.
So it got hot. Now, will you please tell her we're moving in here?
Oh, I don't know. I really don't know.
Look, it's a nursery school or whatever you call it, right?
One of the best private ones in the city.
Great. The brats pull out at 3. We can run the joint wide open all night long.
Yes, it does seem advantageous, I'll admit.
Advantageous? It's beautiful. There's plenty of room. We can even take on more customers.
Of course, Aunt Martha will be hard to handle, Deborah. Very hard.
Well, that's your department. All I know is we're moving in. Who'd look for hopheads in the nursery?
Oh, all I can say, Chief. When I pull a boner, it's a beaut.
Why, Harrington? Something go wrong?
Oh.
You mean last night?
I mean last night, Miss Miller. You know, I've been working on that marijuana thing, Chief.
Yes, I know.
For weeks now, I've been working along with the federal boys. Mm-hmm. The heavier stuff, heroin, cocaine, all that, that's their department.
Yes, and what about the marijuana?
Well, sure, we've got jurisdiction there. It's a local offense.
I know. I mean, weren't you about ready to go ahead?
Well, last night, wasn't it, Harrington?
That's right, last night. There's a dame named Hawkins, Chief. Mm-hmm. Guess I told you. Deborah Hawkins?
Yes, you mentioned the name.
Okay, for weeks now we've been casing her place. An apartment over on West Avenue.
And that's where she operated?
Oh, in a big way. She not only peddled the stuff, she let the customers stay right there and use it. Mm. Oh, talk about a fun house.
And what happened?
Yeah, nothing happened. We got all set to raid the joint. I got 4 extra crews on duty. I got the whole building roped off.
And?
We go in.
Yeah.
Boom. The joint's as clean as a whistle.
You mean you couldn't get any evidence?
Evidence? The place was empty, Miss Miller. Deborah and her chum pulled out in the morning.
Her chum?
Oh, yeah, some punk that works for her.
Oh, I see. Any idea where the tip came from?
No, I haven't, Chief. It was kind of a big operation, you know. When they're like that, there could be a lot of leaks.
Yes, unfortunately, you're right. But I have a stack of complaints a foot high about this marijuana situation.
Yeah, don't I know it? The T-boys, too. They're absolutely sure narcotics are coming into this town. Yeah, even better. They're coming to Deborah Hawkins.
And she's gone.
Well, she sure was last night.
Well, there's only one answer. She'll open up again some other place.
Oh, that you can bet on.
Well, let's find her then, and this time, let's bring her in.
Here you are, Deborah, in here, huh? Well, did you see who's in the nursery tonight?
Mm-hmm, Martindale. Light me, Ted.
Well, you might at least have let me tell it. How much does he spend? Oh, here.
Thanks. 50. I'm not sure I like him as a customer, though. He's got a bad reputation.
I think he's fascinating. I do believe he's the first gangster I've ever met.
You're somewhat naive, darling. Where were you all afternoon?
I was with Aunt Martha in the nursery.
In the afternoon?
I was helping with the children. You know, it's amazing, Deborah, watching their little minds.
Yeah, well, you keep your little mind on our children, dear. I made a good start here for a week. I want to make it even better. Ted? Oh, good. You're both here.
Why, Aunt Martha, I thought you were upstairs in bed long ago.
Oh, I can sleep with people coming and going. I'll never know. Good evening, Miss Hawkins. I was just going. I'd rather you stayed. As a matter of fact, there's something I want to say to both of you.
Can I get you a cup of tea, Aunt Martha?
Stop fussing, Ted. Fact is, I'm extremely upset. One of the kids fall out of the swing?
Deborah, please. What is it, Aunt Martha?
I told you a week ago you were welcome to stay here for a while, Ted. You too, Miss Hawkins. Thanks. With your tea room burnt to the ground and all, goodness knows you had no place to go. With our what?
I, told Aunt Martha about our tea room, Deborah, in Chicago.
Oh, and you're welcome here. I'm sure it isn't that. So it's what? My dear Miss Hawkins, it seems to me you've had company every night since you came. Company? Even now, there are people in the nursery, coming and going until all hours. I've heard them.
Oh, but my dear
Let me finish. And stop dancing about. Sit down, Ted.
I'm only trying to explain.
I realize you're young, you have friends, and you like to have a good time. You bet. On the other hand, this is my nursery school and my home. You mustn't abuse it.
Oh, now, we don't mean to, Aunt Martha, really.
Well, nevertheless, I don't like it. Smelling up the place with their Turkish cigarettes. How's that again? My dear Miss Hawkins, the nursery is just thick with their smoke. It's getting so I can't air the place out.
Aunt Martha,
Oh, you needn't explain, my boy. I'm tired now, and I'm going to try to sleep.
Oh, let me help you.
Oh, do leave me alone. Sorry I had to speak, but I just can't have this. Now, if you'll excuse me, good night.
She ought to take a drag or two herself and prove her disposition.
It's not funny, Deborah.
I think it is. It's the first time I ever heard marijuana described as a Turkish cigarette.
She doesn't know.
Really? You amaze me. Better go see if Martindale wants anything. He usually takes a deck home.
But what about Aunt Martha? We'd have to find a new place if she makes us move.
No, you're being funny.
But you heard her, Deborah.
Will you come too? This is the neatest setup I ever had.
But
I don't intend to give it up. Aunt Martha or no Aunt Martha, we're here to stay.
And please assure the committee we are doing everything we can. Sincerely, etc., etc.
Mm-hmm. I'll have this typed right away, Chief.
Hey, Chief.
Oh, yes, come in, Harrington.
Well, you look happy.
Oh, boy, why shouldn't I? Hey, Chief, we finally got a break.
Oh, on a marijuana problem?
Right on the head.
Yes?
I was prowling around town last night. Pretty late, too, come to think of it, and I see my old pal, Martindale.
Who?
A two-bit bum around town, Miss Miller, mixed up in a dozen different rackets.
Well, there's no charge pending against him, is there?
No, nothing special, Chief, but I spoke to him just the same. A bum like that on parole, well, I do it just for exercise.
Well, I don't blame you. Dale's in prison oftener than he's out.
Well, he's on his way in again, if you ask me.
Mm-hmm.
When I stopped him, Chief, he was glassy-eyed. First, I thought he was drunk.
Yes, and?
He was all hopped up, Chief. I could smell marijuana all over him.
What?
Sure, and to make it even better, he was carrying 24 cigarettes.
No.
Sure. I got him down in the bullpen right now.
Have you made out the charge?
No, not yet, Chief. I thought I'd see you first.
Sure. Say, this may be an opening wedge, Harrington. Is he able to talk?
Oh, yeah, sure. The jag's worn off. He's just depressed now.
He's what?
Oh, those hopheads get awful low when you take away their candy, Miss Miller.
Oh.
What time did you make the arrest?
2 a.m.
I see. Hmm. Well, all right, let's do this. We'll hold him the full 24 hours without making a formal charge.
Right.
Oh, and nothing to the papers, Miss Miller.
Okay.
Notify the desk, will you?
Right away.
And we'll give him a couple of hours and then bring him up here, Harrington.
Right. And by that time, he ought to be real unhappy.
Yes, we won't make a deal, you understand, but maybe he'll talk anyway. They usually do.
Oh, brother, I sure hope so, because if Martindale got his supply from little Deborah Hawkins, Chief, we're in.
You ought to go to bed, Ted. There won't be any more customers tonight anyway.
Yes, I will, Deborah. Simply trying to calm myself by reading.
Reading what?
Oh, one of Aunt Martha's books. The Life of Madame Montessori.
Who's she? Lighten me, will you?
Oh, useless. Madame Montessori founded a method of educating small children, the theory of free play.
That ought to calm anybody.
Here.
Right. What's the matter? You run out of comic books?
The sense of humor is warped, Deborah. If I want to improve myself, I should at least be encouraged.
You like telling stories to the little monsters?
I happen to find it stimulating, yes. As a matter of fact, Deborah,
Somebody's coming.
But you said everyone's gone. Good heavens, it's after 3.
Yes? Well.
Aunt Martha.
I thought I'd find you here. Now, don't speak, Theodore. We won't mince words.
You're up pretty late, aren't you?
I'll hear no more from you, Miss Hawkins. Now, both of you pack your bags and get out.
What did you say?
Don't pretend you don't understand me. I said get out of my nursery school.
Now?
Now. Is that clear?
Just what's wrong, Aunt Martha?
Well, I'm sure you could answer that better than I, Miss Hawkins. I saw some of your friends tonight.
Our friends? Downstairs in the nursery?
I did. I don't know what was going on, but it's going to stop. Why, they acted like drunkards.
Oh, Martha, no.
Don't argue with me. I said pack up and get out.
Nobody was drunk, Aunt Martha.
Well, worse then. I don't even want to hear about it. Well, didn't you hear me?
She's your aunt, Ted. Take over.
Aunt Martha, now be calm a minute.
Oh, you're a spineless, weak jellyfish, Ted Mulberry. Yes, and no telling what else. I said get out.
Aunt Martha, don't talk like that. I might get mad.
Mad? You?
Oh, I can get mad, can't I, Deborah? Tell her.
Take it easy, Aunt Martha.
Now listen, you two. The officer in this neighborhood is a friend of mine. If you're not started in 2 minutes, I'm going to call him.
And get your poor nephew arrested?
I don't care what happens to him. He's a sneak, a lying little sneak.
I always thought you were a lady.
Get out.
Deborah?
You calm enough, Ted?
Completely.
You realize now I was right?
Perfectly?
He talks to that policeman. It's 15 to 25 years for the both of us.
Naturally. I should have acted before.
Oh, stop this chattering and get out of
I'll
here.
get the gun, Ted. I have it much first.
Let me have it, Deborah. Quickly.
Have you gone mad? What are you talking about? What gun?
This one. Here, Ted.
Thank you.
Theodore. What's come over you? Theodore.
You don't know your nephew in a crisis, Aunt Martha. He's a riot.
There's no need to explain to her, Deborah. I see it quite clearly. Aunt Martha?
Theodore. No, Theodore. No. Heaven. You shot me. You didn't have to.
I shall have a reaction quite soon, Deborah. I'll need a small brandy.
I know.
It's the only thing to do, of course. You agree about that?
Completely. There's just one thing.
Yes?
Are you still thinking clearly? We need the nursery for the cover-up, you know.
I was aware of that when I shot.
Who's going to teach the kids?
I am.
You.
I shall use the Montessori method, I think. The accent on free play. And now my brandy, Deborah. Oh, I really do feel quite faint.
All right, Jerry. Put him back in the cooler.
Let's go back to the office, Harrington.
All right.
How long were we talking to him?
Martindale?
Mm-hmm.
Good 3 hours, Chief.
Yes, and not very profitably, I'd say. Well, let's take the back stairs.
Oh, that guy sure is stubborn.
Well, there isn't a doubt in my mind that he knows where Deborah Hawkins is.
Oh, sure. Every time you mentioned her name, we got a reaction out of him.
Yes, a reaction, but no information. Well, we can't hold him, Harrington. We'll make out a charge upstairs.
Right. Possession of marijuana?
Well, that's about all we can do, I'm afraid. We'll have to release the stories to the papers, too.
Yeah, I know. Brother, wherever Deborah's operating, it sure is terrific.
We've got to find her, Harrington. I want to put a stop to her for good.
Ted.
Huh? Oh, Deborah, I asked you not to disturb me when I'm in the nursery.
Where are the kids?
In Humpty Dumpty Land.
What?
In the next room. It's nap time. After that, they get their milk. Fortified, of course.
Listen, teacher, will you wake up? Did you see the afternoon papers?
But hardly. I've been busy here at the blackboard since noon. You like it?
Like what?
Well, good heavens, Deborah, don't tell me you don't recognize it. All this colored chalk. It's a turkey.
You drew that?
I traced part of it, I must admit. It's good, though, don't you think?
I'm trying to tell
the
you.
Tail feathers just delight the children. Tell me what?
Martindale is in stir.
Martindale? Our Martindale?
Our Martindale. And get this, the DA charged him with possession of marijuana.
Oh.
Our marijuana, in case you don't get it.
That could be very serious.
Could be. Suppose he tells where he got it.
That's what I meant.
That and your Aunt Martha lying out in that ditch, my friend. That don't add up so good.
Oh, don't mention it, Deborah. I've told so many mothers she went to Florida, I almost believe it.
I don't care about the mothers. Just believe this, Montessori. If Martindale starts talking, this whole act may turn into a turkey.
This woman's body was found in a ditch, you said?
Yeah, this morning, Chief. She's up ahead on slab 9. Yeah, I heard about Martindale.
About getting released on bail?
Well, guess we kind of expected it.
Well, there wasn't any way to hold him pending trial. All I'm banking on now, when we do try him, he'll talk.
Well, maybe. Yeah, here's the woman. Slap.
There's been no autopsy?
No, nobody's even touched her, Chief. There's no identification.
Nice-looking woman.
Mm.
One shot?
Yeah.
In a ditch, you said?
That's right, Chief. What?
Nothing. I was just looking at these smudges on her dress here. Some sort of chalk, isn't it?
Chalk?
Yes.
Wasn't any in the ditch.
Well, we'll have a test taken. It seems like...
What's the matter, Chief?
Oh, it's strange. There's an odor on these clothes. Still quite strong.
Let me smell.
That familiar?
Huh. Well, that'll be a monkey's uncle, Chief. That smells like marijuana.
Yes, that was my impression, too. Now, there's the phone.
Yeah, that may be for me, Chief. I told Brophy we were coming down to the morgue.
Yes?
Chief, Miss Miller.
Yes.
Can you come back to the office?
Well, I'd rather not right now, Miss Miller. Harrington and I have just stumbled onto something important.
I'll say we have.
Well, this is important, too, Chief.
Yes?
The report just came in. Martin Dale's been killed.
The way we tie our shoe, tie our shoe, tie our... No. This is the way we brush our hair, brush our hair,
Will you
brush our
please
hair.
keep still? I'm trying to concentrate.
Well, my dear Deborah, you told me yourself the nursery is important. If I'm to run it, I want it run right.
Will you
The
please?
children learn through these songs, Deborah. I must say I've learned quite a bit myself.
Great. Now, will you listen to me?
Later.
You're really feeling your muscle lately. You know it, little man?
Why not? Things are going extremely well. The children adored my turkey.
Oh, dear. All right, we'll talk quietly. Lightly, will.
Why don't you carry matches, Deborah? I'm busy.
Listen, egghead, I spent all afternoon trying to find Martin Dale, and I couldn't. Suppose he's talking.
He isn't.
What do you mean he isn't? Stop smirking at me.
I killed him.
You did what?
He was here while you were out. Seems he needed a supply.
Give me this slow.
It was quite simple. I offered to drive him home, and when we got there, I shot him. I borrowed your gun.
You shot Martin Dale? It's just like that?
My dear Deborah, you said yourself if he talked, we'd have to move again.
Yes, but
and it was the only thing to do. I simply hate giving up the nursery.
Oh, good Lord.
So you see, there's nothing to worry about at all. Now, heavens. This is the way we tie our shoe, tie our shoe. In heaven's name, how do you tie a shoe?
Come on, clear out, will you, fellas? The DA will see you in a minute. That's the boy. Come on, give us a chance to work, huh? That's it, outside.
Chief, the examiner's on his way for the body.
Good. You may start on the apartment, Miss Miller, and
All
just
right.
list everything you see.
Sure thing.
This Martin Dale sure wasn't neat, Chief. Look at this dump.
Well, at the moment, Harrington, I'm more interested in his body. Do you notice anything?
He shot once.
On the coat sleeve here.
Huh? Say. Hey, that's funny. Looks like chalk.
Exactly. And that was chalk on that woman in the morgue.
Hey, Chief. This begins to make sense.
Yes, a lot of sense. A woman and Martin Dale, both shot once, chalk on both bodies, and the odor of marijuana on both.
Well, Marty's got more than odor. His pockets are full of cigarettes.
Oh, gee.
Yes, Miss Miller.
I'm sorry to interrupt, but I found this engagement calendar.
This what?
On Martin Dale's desk, Harrington. The page for today is still here.
Yes, what about it, Miss Miller?
Well, the name seems so strange.
Huh?
Martin Dale didn't have any children, did he?
My dear Deborah, I must ask you once more to remain calm.
Calm? No?
You're simply putting a series of circumstances together, my dear. It's what we call basic association.
What?
Basic association. For example, take one of the children. I say dog. He answers bow wow. I say snow. He says Santa Claus.
It's really most interesting.
Yeah, well, I say murder, Bob. First Aunt Martha, and now Martindale.
Still association. There's no reason in the world to connect us to any of it. Now, would you like to help me? I'm doing the nursery in crepe paper.
Ted.
Yes, Deborah?
What's the matter with you? You used to be so easy, so gentle.
Why, I'm the soul of gentleness, Deborah.
Then will you think? We got to get out of here, Ted, now, before things get any hotter.
I say no.
Oh, you fat-headed... No, so help me, Mother Goose, I'll make you see it. Ted.
Yes, dear?
Please, can we go?
You're really very selfish, Deborah. I enjoy the nursery immensely.
I see. Okay, that does it. You won't listen to me. Maybe you'll listen to this. Just happen to have here in my purse.
I'd put away the gun, if I were you. They make me extremely nervous.
I only wish they did. Now, will you get started? We're checking out.
Put it down, Deborah. You know my temper.
Who's that?
One of the mothers, I'd imagine. She'd hardly expect firearms, Deborah. Put it away.
Get rid of her, you hear me?
But I enjoy their problems. I really do. Enter.
This is the Mulberry Nursery School?
Yes, I'm Mr. Mulberry. Can I help you?
Yeah, in here, Chief.
Oh, yes, I see.
Yeah, just gonna... Hey, wait a minute. Well, I'll be darned if it ain't Debbie Hawkins.
What?
I'm more interested in this one, Harrington. That's interesting chalk on your suit.
I beg your pardon?
Said you fool, they're cops.
Deborah, quickly, the gun. No, you don't. Debbie, old kid.
I'll take that.
Go on.
Keep that gun, Harrington. We'll need it. All right, both of you. This school is out for good. Let's go.
This is a United States Armed Forces Radio Service.